You are listening to the Red Leaf Retrocast, gaming, anime, and wrestling. Your best location to learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. We watch old and seasonal anime, play old and new video games, and watch all the wrestling we can. You are listening to the Wrestling Cast episode, and I hope you enjoy.
In that far corner, trying to bear hug, and now Mr. Wrestling in a single leg dive, going after the leg. This is sometime in the match, and of course Jack Briscoe has already suffered some injury to that leg. Mr. Wrestling keeping that leg tied up. He wants it all. He wants the World Heavyweight Championship. He wants the Florida Championship. A double leg dive by Jack Briscoe, the Florida champion. Mr. Wrestling breaking it up.
And welcome to the Red Leaf Retrocast. This is the Wrestling Edition, episode 35, titled Joshi, WrestleQueendomRama for the Fallen. Say that 3 times fast. And why is that title such a mouthful? Well, we have 17 wrestling shows to talk about on this podcast episode. I have been gearing up for episode 35 for 2 whole weeks, but it feels like it's been a year. That's how much wrestling we have to talk about. I have been super excited to talk about everything that has occurred. It has been a nonsense couple weeks, especially last weekend. Yes, it's Friday, July 19th, and had to get this episode out quick, otherwise I'd be behind. Just if you couldn't tell by the title, we have lots of Joshi wrestling to talk about. We have Wrestlerama, AEW, Pro Wrestling Eve, and the usuals, if you've listened to this cast before. And yeah, Dragon Gate as well, finally got around to doing that. Just unbelievable. I've been really excited. AEW is coming in strong. WWE is shitting the bed so badly right now with awfully boring storylines, things that make no sense, not even enough time to even watch any of it. I'm just keeping up with the news like everyone else. Seems more and more they're trying to be like WCW. And speaking of WCW, I have a nice bottle of reserve Canadian whiskey with me because we've reached the point where I believe WCW is going into the hole and I need a drink for this cast. Because I'm going to be talking about some amazing wrestling, only to end it with Bash at the Beach 1998. My memory, my nostalgia, it's definitely a case where I had to take off the rose-colored nostalgia glasses and watch this show for what it really was. Anyways, if you want to follow me at BowlingJD on Twitter and the Instagram, hit me up, follow the podcast. This podcast is on Podbean, iTunes, all Android podcasts, Podcast Addict. We're everywhere. Go hit us up, leave a 5-star iTunes review, and I will read it on the cast. And with that, have to shout out to the Anime Radicals. It's a collaboration site and podcast. Yes, the Red Leaf Retrocast isn't just wrestling. It's also anime, it's also retro gaming, and gaming from the modern era. Every month we have episodes. This is all put on by me and with my amazing international host of friends. The wrestling is my pet project, and with that, let's get on to the shows. Yes, Evolve, something I haven't really spoken about or watched or kept up with in, it has to be at least going on almost a year at this point. One of the last Evolve shows I went to here in New England was the Adam Cole Vaulter match. I believe that was the last Evolve show I was interested in, because that's when Evolve switched up its business practice. It really became an NXT meet and greet with some indie wrestling on the side, and not really my thing. Here you go, kitty cat. I know I've been fighting you for over 30 minutes, but let's just put this on the ground so you can go play with the blended whiskey top paper. Anyways. So, but I did get to watch the Evolve 10th anniversary show, Evolve 131. And even though I'm not a fan of their new business practice, they are filling in the seats. But the buzz around Evolve itself is absent, to say the least. This show was on the WWE Network. And my issue with this show doesn't it's not the wrestling that kind of irked me. It was the fact that it's really put on as like an NXT house show. That's what I'm gathering, and a feeder developmental to NXT. And that's not why I fell in love with Evolve in the first place when I first got into it, including much of the backbone. The wrestlers involved have all left and gone on to any and other things. I've spoken to wrestlers here in New England that didn't like the direction it was going, especially if they don't have their foot in the door of WWE. But anyways, the 10th anniversary show saw Austin Theory unify the WWN title and the Evolve title, so good for him. Young Gun, always believed in Austin Theory. He's sticking around there. Adam Cole and Akira Tozawa was the main event, and it just rubbed me the wrong way because it's the NXT title at the Evolve 10th anniversary show in the main event, and then a Dragon Gate guy who's on 205 Live is fighting for it. So I couldn't get over this house show feel. But one match got me over that feel, and that was the Matt Riddle versus Drew Gulak match. Two guys that really helped build Evolve. Drew Gulak started Catchpoint, big catch wrestling focus, and Matt Riddle, being the MMA guy, joined Catchpoint invited by Drew Gulak. So this was kind of a Catchpoint versus Catchpoint match. So there's your little background of that. Albeit a bit short for flavor. It only went 13 minutes, 38 seconds. I think, if anything, this should have been the main event. If the Evolve Unification title match wasn't the main event. It should have been one of those two matches. This match was quite good. It was catch style with well-placed strikes, so kind of getting their little MMA backgrounds in there, or their hard practices. The match is just that for about 12 minutes, and it's quite enjoyable. It's very smooth, and there's two big suplex spots. Gulak does a top rope back body drop to Riddle, and Riddle does a middle rope German suplex inside out. Pretty cool. It got the crowd on its feet. The finish was good, having Gulak catch Riddle coming off the middle turnbuckle. He did like a 180 senton and caught him right into the Gulak. Very cool stuff, the Dragon Sleeper. Then Matt Riddle does his Matt Riddle things, and finishers can't keep this guy down. Submissions or moves and the like. He immediately reverses it into the Bro Derek for the quick pin. I was really put off by it, but then I remembered I'm watching a Matt Riddle match, so I kind of took my own personal feelings out of it. I did like this 13-minute showing. But yeah, this show didn't feel like an Evolve show, rather the NXT Light focus to go with their new vision. Anyways, moving on. As I gotta take a lot of notes for this, so I don't lose track. Whew. All right. Joshi Wrestling. Here we go. I'm sure a lot of you. I get a lot of emails, Twitter messages, Twitter DMs. Keep going, Joshi. Well, I'll drink to that. I love me some Joshi Wrestling. Ooh. Ooh. I'm gonna have to go easy on that. That is some good stuff. I still have G1 to catch up on, Progress to catch up on. Luckily, WXW's in its off-season now. It's July. Anyways, Sendai Girls, Miko Satomura's promotion, Niigata show on June 8th. Yes, sometimes it takes a while for shows to get around on the internet and the like. Well, I'm not very picky about when someone watches shows. It's all on everyone's life. So here we go. This is the show from June 8th of 2019 in Niigata. And there's two particular matches that really stood out here. Sendai shows are usually on the shorter side. Again, their undercard is filled with young lions, let's call them. And then a comedy match, usually, with some of their veteran wrestlers. And then they move on to their more serious stuff from there. To get the mid-card they're building, and then up to the upper card where it's usually their title matches or big match plays. In this case, their tag titles were on the line. We have the team Medusa Complex, the champions of Charlie Evans and Millie McKenzie. Yes, a British team. They're up against Dash Chisako and Hiroyo Matsumoto. I love this tag team. They really complement each other well. Charlie Evans and Millie McKenzie are tiny little British girls. It's quite funny. The match goes 18 minutes and 38 seconds. A pretty good tag affair, I will say. Dash and Matsumoto make just a killer team, while Charlie and Millie are a scrappy young team. So this match really complemented itself quite well. Charlie Evans and Millie McKenzie are quite young. McKenzie, to me, is very obviously the one with the higher potential bar, and Charlie Evans is still learning a lot of the ropes. Although I will say she does look much better than a lot of other British women wrestlers out there. It picks up in places for sure. I just didn't care for the end of this match, where this is what happens: Matsumoto powerbombs Charlie onto Millie, which is a cool spot. Then Dash follows up with a top rope double foot stomp, and it's kicked out of. So, like, okay. And you'll see a lot of this. The Finn Balor coup de grace is like a dead finisher outside of himself doing it. It's quite funny. So, after the double foot stomp and the kick out, there's a frog splash, which is hit, right? Then, Millie McKenzie simply does the no-sell roll-up pin. And again, this is what I believe to be the most irritating of finishes to matches, outside of like dumb DQs and dumb storyline stuff. You get hit with a finisher and you just immediately roll them up. It's a no-sell to me, and it just really rubs me the wrong way. I will never get past that. So what was a really good tag match was ruined to me by this end. But a match that didn't disappoint and actually exceeded my expectations was the main event: Sendai Girls World Title versus a title versus title match. Sendai Girls World Title and the World Women Pro Wrestling Diana World Title match. Diana World Title is owned by Sari, I think it's Sari. And the Sendai Girls World Title is, at this point, still owned by Chihiro Hashimoto, the big hoss. This match goes 18 minutes and 6 seconds, and it went by so fast. It's really, really good. Sari is a very young up-and-comer in Sendai. Between her and Iwata, those are your two big stars coming up in Joshi wrestling in this scene. There's lots of lariats, stiff slaps, and a crazy last couple minutes of varied suplex exchanges to the finish. It really stands out as one of the best Joshi matches of 2019. Sari survives deadly power lifts and overhead belly-to-bellies from Hashimoto. Hashimoto is just brilliant at looking like a power superstar. Shingo-like lariats does end up finishing off Hashimoto by Sari, which is kind of off-putting to me, because Sari is not as strong-looking as Hashimoto, but then again, who does? It's kind of the David Starr, Hans Stanson type clothesline. But Sari busts out a front half Nelson suplex to a hammerlock half Nelson for the pin. Really cool combination and catch style there. What a match. Yes, we have a new Sendai Girls World Champion in Sari. And then the aforementioned Mika Iwata, all full of fire, ruins the celebration immediately and challenges Sari. I am super down for basically the two biggest stars, up-and-coming stars in Sendai, going at it just like that. Very cool stuff. I was not disappointed in this match one bit at all. Oh, boy, if I'm going to go at this pace, this podcast might be 4 hours. Strap yourselves in, everybody. There's a lot to talk about. Ice Ribbon, 968 in Skip. We're back in Skip City. This is 968. This is the big show that Ice Ribbon has been doing. This is their big summer show. We got a tag match of Julia and Tsukushi versus Maika Ozaki and Tei Honma on the undercard. All the Young Guns tag, basically. Ozaki does a wonderful, painful-looking torture rack on Tsukushi into a backbreaker, into a bow and arrow lock, which was a sick sequence. Ozaki is kind of like Hashimoto in the big powerhouse weightlifter kind of sense. I think Ozaki has a better look to her, and Tsukushi is so freaking tiny. She's adorable, so this torture rack just looked extra torturous. But Julia does end up breaking up the submission. She does end up hitting her pump handle driver to pin Honma, which is definitely the weakest out of the 4 people in this match. A good tag match. I actually liked this one much more than the Sendai tag match that I mentioned earlier. This is followed by Ram Kaicho versus Tsukasa Fujimoto. Ram Kaicho is kind of... She's got this... How do I put this? A Japanese horror game gimmick? So let me come back to that. It is important to note here that at Ice Ribbon 966 show, there was a triangle tag title match of Maya, Tsukasa, and Takiya Saya. Tsukasa won that match and the triangle title, so she took one of the 4 belts off Maya Yukihi. So we're all devastated, especially me. But Ram Kaicho is a pretty new wrestler, at least from my eyes. I haven't seen her before in Sendai or to my knowledge, not in Tokyo Joshi Pro, definitely not Stardom, and not Ice Ribbon. So she's real new to me. She has real nice long black hair, white face paint, dons a cloak, making her look like a character out of a Japanese horror game. Very Fatal Frame-esque to me. But then she has 2 denim jacket-wearing dudes come to the ring with her using fake money dispenser guns. So it's a very strange combination. I was not expecting that. But yeah, I think I may have only seen her once before this on a previous Ice Ribbon show. But this was her first singles match as far as I'm concerned. But match was okay. Kaicho definitely needs to smooth many things up, but the character seems really fun. I'm way behind it. There was a fun sequence of like a 619 to a Rainmaker to a choke slam, which was really funny. She didn't hit the choke slam, and Tsukasa Fujimoto ended up pinning her. So it was really funny. It seems post-match that Tsukasa wants to tag with Ram Kaicho. So I really like that combination. This is what someone like a Mickie James should be doing in WWE, before her ACL injury. Especially now that there's tag titles. Shit. There should be... I'm always for the combination tag team of a veteran and a young gun. Because eventually, you can then build something where the tag team will split up, or a passing of the torch moment, or who wants to be the best. You can do any number of things. And tagging... Having your young gun tag with a veteran only helps them, and it masks the veteran getting slower because they're in tag matches more. So, very promising. We have the Kizuna tournament final match. Still not 100% clear on what the Kizuna tournament actually is. It just seems like a hodgepodge tag gauntlet of random people being put together in random teams, and who are the last 2 people standing. That's what I think this is. If you're an Ice Ribbon fan and you want to clear this up, please hit me up on Twitter at BowlingJD. But the 4 people in this was the team of Akane Fujita and Asahi versus Risa Sera, the current tag champion with Maya Yukihi, and Suzu Suzuki, who has a very promising future. but a kind of dull finals match to this tournament, really. Crowd was kind of deathly quiet. I know it's Japan, but this seemed just more quiet than usual. I felt like I was watching a Go Shizaki Noah match. Gauged very little reaction during this match as well. Fujita does like a Michinoku driver. Suzuki was very resilient in the end, just took a ton of moves, kept kicking out. Just one move too many, finally got her. So Sarah and Suzu were definitely off their game in this one, very slow. I think the right team ended up winning this, no matter how big of a Risa Sarah fan I am. But this show was headlined by the big title match, the Ice Infinity title, owned by Mayuki, taking on the heavily popular and up-and-coming Takiya Saya. Good God, I've hyped this matchup in my head for months now. I just kept thinking, who's Maya's next big challenger going to be? I liked her match with Tsukushi. That was kind of the coming of age of Tsukushi. And now we have Takiya Saya, whom I've just grown to adore in Ice Ribbon. I thought this match was a little too short and never had the groove of suspense. This was due to the fact that it was only 12 minutes and 18 seconds. However, there were some real good moments consistently throughout the match. With Saya going through her entire moveset and beating Maya down, but never putting her down, unlike the Julia match. So the Julia match, if you remember, Julia was able to put Maya down, but the inexperience had Maya overcome that. This one, Saya could never get Maya down in the first place, and I think that attributes to why this match was so much shorter, and Takiya Saya doesn't have a big technical game. So without a technical game, all they could do was do spots. So I think this time frame, albeit, again, short, really emphasized how good a 12-minute match could be for two women. No limb work, just all power moves up until the last few minutes, where Saya hit all her big moves, including a trifecta knee package driver. So this is like a pedigree, but you are facing the other way, and the opponents are on all fours as opposed to just kind of bending over. Interesting move. Hitting her signature top rope turnaround crossbody that I'm so in love with. One of my favorite moves in wrestling. After the kick out, Saya goes to run the ropes and is caught into a sit-out power slam. Saya does kick out of this. Maya immediately goes to hit her sweet vaulting knee strike. She tries to pin. Saya kicks out again. Maya goes immediately to the top rope, hits the Swanton Bomb, and this pins her for the win. So I really like the hit a signature move, pin, kick out. Immediately, like, don't worry about it. Hits another signature move, pin, kick out. And then you hit your true finisher. Third time's the charm. We're done here. It really makes the opponent seem more valiant in their effort, and makes the finisher for the winner look strong as well. Tsukasa Fujimoto seems to come out and challenge her next, since she did win the triangle title from her in the first place. Julia was ringside for Saya, and Saya and Julia have been teaming up. So these are the two stories going forward. Tsukasa's coming for her Ice Infinity title that she so proudly, she pretty much owned it for a good chunk of Ice Ribbon's lifespan. And Saya and Julia teaming up to try and take Maya down together. They have a tag title match down the line. So this all should be very interesting. I kind of like this. It's been 7 months since the last Maya Tsukasa Fujimoto match. They're 2 for 2 in my book. Why not make it a third? Got to get that rubber match, right? This is good timing, and it makes the tag team titles seem a lot more interesting as well. All right. Good job, Ice Ribbon. Moving on. Gotta make notes. Gotta drink some more whiskey. Whew. Okay. Tokyo Joshi Pro Princess Cup Finals. Yeah, I'm pretty much skipping straight to them, but I did get to have the privilege of seeing the semifinals, because it's all on the same show. So they start the show off with the 2 semifinal matches, and then the main event is your finals. So this really puts a lot of pressure on the winners to have enough stamina to put on a good match at the end. So how was this? Well, the first semifinal match was our AEW magical princess herself, magical girl, Yuka Sakazaki. She's facing off against Yuna Manase. A pretty okay match. The issue was it started out as a ground grapple game, and Yuna Manase just isn't good at it. She also gets gassed extremely fast. Manase is a bigger girl by, I guess, Japanese wrestling standards. However, when I look at Chihiro Hashimoto or Ozaki, Manase just doesn't look in as good shape as them. So her cardio is the issue here. But anyways, she got gassed so fast to the point it looked like Yuka was wrestling just a bigger, immobile person rather than a wrestling match. Reversals were slow, power slams were weak, the list goes on. Yuka herself still got a decent match when it was all said and done, but Manase reverses Yuka into a backslam, and she moves on. So I think the wrong person won here. However, I can understand the booking because Yuka Sakazaki is with AEW, and this is a good way to put someone else over. I just did not feel and was not excited for Yuna Manase to be in the finals after this match. The next match was way better. This was the next semifinal match, Mizuki versus Natsumi Maki. Both are 23 and 24 years old, respectively. Quite young. A much more mobile match with lots of speed and reversals. A completely different dynamic here than our first match. Both have a very similar moveset to each other, which made it a little bit interesting. Lots of running drop kicks, crossbodies, and the like. Ending sequence was a front lucha roll through, and then they went through a couple more times, reversed backwards, giving Mizuki the victory. This was very similar to the Death Yamasan and Hazuki match, where Death got the, was it? No, it was Death against Starlight Kid. It was that match where they go across the ring a couple times, then backwards again, and that's how Death wins. Very similar here. Natsumi Maki looked much more smooth in movement and placement, but Mizuki was better at the moves themselves. So it was very tough to see like who was better in this match in the end. They really evened themselves out, and again, they're very similar to each other. But anyways, Mizuki wins. We have the finals, so let's get right to that. It's Mizuki versus Yuna Manase. Mizuki surprisingly got a much better match out of Manase compared to Yuka earlier. The match went 17 minutes, and I was thinking to myself, oh my god, if this is longer than 8 minutes, I'm going to hate this. But somehow, Mizuki just did better. Saw a lot of repeat moves from both wrestlers because of the length, but I feel like this is much due to how limited Yuna Manase is in the ring. Right? You can only do so much against a bigger opponent. But Mizuki pulled out a lot of nice strikes, and this led to Manase using primarily strikes as well. It made for a much better match, especially given the length. So there you go. Mizuki is your winner of the Tokyo Princess Cup. And I agree. I'm very excited. So there you go. I haven't seen a lot of Tokyo Joshi Pro. There's rumors of the company folding, so I wonder if that's true or not. Very loose rumors, of course. Oh, I can play a drop because we got Impact Wrestling to talk about. First time in a while. Okay. So, Impact had a pay-per-view. It's their biggest one of the year next to Bound for Glory. It is Slammiversary. The undercard was fine. It's an undercard. You know, you got your tag titles, you got this and that. But let's skip immediately to the 4-way women's title, which was a Monsters Ball. You had champion Taya versus Jessica Havoc versus Su Yung versus Rosemary. Lots of hardcore spots, and Rosemary taking brutal bumps, as she does. The women killed it, but the match, in a nutshell, was simply hardcore spots. Taya wins after Jessica Havoc breaks the mandible claw as she was on the turnbuckle. She gives Su Yung a tombstone, and Taya throws a chair at Havoc, gets her out of the ring, and Taya gets the sneak pin. Really tired of women's matches and just these heel victories in 2018 and 2019. This last year and a half of just these two people will do a move. This usually happens in triple multi-man matches. Let's say the babyface will hit a move. Heel will just push the babyface off out of the ring and steal the pin. It's really getting old with me. I'm not feeling it. But anyways, if you want hardcore, if you want like a death match and see women involved, this is the one for you. Johnny Impact versus Rich Swann for the X Division title. Nice little high-flying type match. Swann wins after 2 lethal injections, then a Phoenix Splash. Simple enough. Johnny Impact's contract is up with Impact. I will see him at American Rana Beyond Wrestling as Johnny Foxwoods in a week and a half. How about that? Cage versus Elgin for the Impact title. Not the main event. We'll get to that. Good match. Probably the best Impact World title match in fucking ages. However, Slammiversary ending on a roll-up just to keep Elgin quote-unquote looking strong, I can't agree with. Elgin taking the title and complaining just makes him look like a sore loser, and the roll-up on top is just weak. As a big, strong dude match, this was very fun to watch. The story, not so much. After the match, as Elgin is attacking commentator Don Callis, who's still doing a fantastic job, even though Josh Matthews is there, a masked, totally not Rhino, gores Elgin. Okay, I mean, Rhino isn't a main eventer in my eyes. If it leads to a one-off, then fine, kind of deal, and have a feeling that won't be the case, though. So who's next for Cage? Not too sure. I would do Sami Callihan personally. But yeah, don't end your major shows on roll-ups. I don't like it. That's pretty much how WrestleMania ended with Becky Lynch. Got a sour note. Just have these two guys. I mean, it's tricky. Because you still want Elgin looking strong, and I guess they want to keep the title on Cage and kind of stretch this out. You run the risk of overbooking if you try to get creative with it. You don't want a fuck finish with Rhino getting a DQ. So do you just beat Elgin and then build him back up through Rhino? And then on TV, you give him a few more wins, and then he earns a title shot again? It's simple booking. And you built him up again, and in the meantime, Cage just can start cutting promos like, I beat you once, I'll beat you again. I don't care how big you got, kind of deal. Especially since Elgin walked in and got the title match in the first place. Just my thoughts. However, the main event of Slammiversary was an intergender match. Special intergender match. Sami Callihan taking on Tessa Blanchard. Crowd was very hot for the entrances. Tessa Blanchard's coming out looking like a fucking star. She's got a gold bat. Callihan came out with a black bat. Tessa Blanchard's got sunglasses inside. She looks like someone out of Mad Max, and Callihan looks like a person out of Fist of the North Star of just evil contention. I like the story coming into it, even though it was a tad too simple. I think they could have devoted more time to it. And I like the fact this was the main event. It's definitely going to be the major talking point for Impact, and let's face it, Impact needs all the press they can get. Been saying that for a while. And I said this last year, in fact, over a year ago, that I think Impact could be the major show to feature intergender wrestling. I think that would set it apart, make it unique. I've seen it myself in Beyond Wrestling, as if you book it right and just book it competitively, there are plenty of fans that will get into it. So the match starts with a quick series by Tessa, stopped immediately by Callahan catching a suicide dive, and swings her brutally into the guardrail twice, followed by a Death Valley driver on the outside mat. And holy shit, what a way to gain heat quick. The story going here is clearly that you can't keep Tessa down. She's a tough bitch, you could say. It is a slow beating until the ever so gallant babyface comeback via an ace crusher on the ramp of all things before Callahan can powerbomb her into the audience. I was quite a fan of this spot. This was the turning point for the back and forth intensity, because that's what Tessa gives off. And then Tessa, through this intensity, elbows the ref. So there's your ref bump. Always Impact. They'll never break this mold. This is where it gets to the Attitude Era type storybooking, but done pretty well for the most part. Let's see here. Went off my notes there. Oh no, that's fine. Callahan hits Tessa with a bat, goes for the pin. Another ref comes down. Tessa kicks out because the ref took too long. She's on her knees. She spits in Callahan's face, and as Callahan goes for retaliation, she punches him in the dick. Pretty cool. Bat shot of her own. Looks like he is going to beat her down. No. Bat shot of her own. Then she hits her magnum into a crossface. She's got a bloody nose. Very cool visual. I love this. Should have been the end of the match, personally, if it was up to me. But Callahan gets out of this, hits his stuff pile driver. He pins her, and it looks like he's going to beat her down post-match with a bat, but hands her golden bat back as kind of a sign of, yeah, we went to hell. We went to hell and back kind of deal. But yeah, the crossface should have been the finish, but I have no real problem, not really, with this match other than the kind of huge move kickouts that seem to have always been a staple of TNA and Impact and a lot of the indie promotions out there. So, par for the course with Impact with the kickouts. But yeah, big fan of the intergender match. Hard to say right now if the Statlander-Joey Janela match was worse or better. I think they were pretty equal. This one definitely had the better story going in and coming out of it, rather than just a one-off. So anyways, that was the intro promotions of all things. 37 minutes into the show. Holy crap, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully I can get through the next things pretty quick. So let me play my spotlight drop, which is Bret Hart, of course. We can move on.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
All right, best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. We'll be talking Bret Hart a little bit later, in a sense. NWA US Champion number 9, Mr. Wrestling, the 12th NWA US title reign. Yes, this is a retro wrestler spotlight. We're on the journey of going through all the past NWA, WCW, WWE US champions. Mr. Wrestling defeated Blackjack Mulligan on March 19th, 1978. He would only hold the title for 21 days before losing it to Ric Flair. Well then. Mr. Wrestling was also involved in the 1975 plane crash. That also involved fellow NWA US champions Ric Flair and Johnny Valentine. But what makes this plane crash so infamous is because kayfabe wasn't broken yet. Rumors circulated that Mr. Wrestling was with the villains, the bad guys. So, Mr. Wrestling wrestled 2 weeks after the plane crash, obviously still in pain, and in Ric Flair's own words, he saved wrestling that day. So it's one of the great wrestling stories of, well, tragedies as well, But Mr. Wrestling was an American masked wrestler, of all things, proving that a masked wrestler can get over in America. And Mr. Wrestling 2, those guys very much proved any doubters that masked wrestlers can get over. I was able to find some Georgia wrestling, not so much the Mid-Atlantic stuff. I watched a few matches, and the one that stood out was against Bill Watts, of all people, former NWA WCW booker in the late 80s. Mr. Wrestling was what I would describe as like a catch point style wrestler, really. Amateur style kind of deal. Really reminds me a lot of Drew Gulak in his style. He would also throw himself around a lot in the ring, just overbump like a machine. So this contributed more to showing off his body language, to show more emotion, to make up for the mask hiding his face. Makes sense. This Bill Watts match was actually very timeless. It reminded me heavily of the Riddle-Gulak match, of all things. Obviously, Riddle-Gulak has that 2019 flavor on it, and this has the 1970s flavor. But holy crap, it is exactly the same on many levels. Of course, I also watched a Florida Championship match involving Jack Briscoe, because Jack Briscoe is the 70s, as far as I'm concerned. If it happened in the 70s, you faced Jack Briscoe in a title match, if you were a big deal. So, Mr. Wrestling was someone I knew basically nothing about. All I knew is he was in that plane crash. And, well, hello, Kitty Cat. As he joins me. What, do you want some Canadian whiskey as I talk about Mr. Wrestling? Okay, alright. But anyways, Mr. Wrestling was very fascinating. The mask was very generic looking. Nothing unique. Just black and white. Come on, Kitty Cat. Make up your mind. He's all over the place. So he lasted, 40 minutes before he jumped in? What are you looking at? I don't know what he's looking at. Hopefully he doesn't run over the table again. Anyways, I liked Mr. Wrestling. If I want to, I think I'm going to find more of his stuff. I really liked his style of wrestling, that's for sure. If he held the U.S. title for more than 21 days and went on, I know he went on to bigger and better things. He ended up being a jobber in WWF, apparently. Or enhancement talent. He wasn't, squashed. That's what jobbers do. But his Jack Briscoe match and his Bill Watts match, you can find those on YouTube. Very timeless. Good stuff. Yeah. Very quick. Learned something today. And speaking of learning something, I bought the 100 Things a WWE fan should know and do before they die by Brian Alvarez. So I look forward to reading that. Maybe Mr. Wrestling's going to be in there. I doubt it because it's NWA. But anyways, perhaps he will be. Whew. More stuff. Where are you, MLW Drop? There you are. Alright, doing something different, because there was a lot for me to cover. MLW Fusion, episodes 64 and 65. 65 being Kings of Colosseum, the pay-per-view. I am going to read, not word for word, I'm going to skim over it. This is from BodySlam.net. I don't have any notes written down, so instead of going off memory and bullshitting around, I'm going to go off what Body Slam has going on here. So, episode 64, the go-home show to Kings of Colosseum. We get cold open, Contra unit cut promos in their Contra style. Joseph Samael cuts an awesome I love his delivery, that he will blind Tom Lawler. Simon Gotch was not involved in the promo. Wonder why. The Von Erichs are brought into the broadcast booth. They have promo skills of their father. Black charisma. Anyways, opening matches, the Aussie vet Adam Brooks versus the incoming Austin Aries. So Austin Aries is back in the wrestling scene, and I'm not a big Adam Brooks fan, but I do like him. I do like this move of showcasing Austin Aries as a legit threat, and Adam Brooks is not a joke wrestler, nor is he an enhancement talent wrestler. He is a big deal in Australia. So what ends up happening is they have a great match, great back and forth. It does a lot. Jim Cornette is all up Austin Aries' ass. He's kissing him. He wants to see him and Teddy Hart wrestle. Yeah, that happened. Brooks does suspend my disbelief by going on an attack near the end of the match. He does a dive through the ropes, hits a DDT. But let's see here. Aries seems to be struggling to put Brooks away. Adam gets to the ropes and during the last chancery, which is now called the Horns of Aries. Oh yeah, that's right, they changed it. Anyways, Austin misses the 450 after the Death Valley Driver and Brooks moves. It's amazing because it seems Aries is fighting for his life, and then Austin hits the Brainbuster after a discus elbow for the win. Yeah, it kind of ended prematurely. But yeah, it was a good match. Austin Aries is a solid worker. So is Adam Brooks. I was shocked that it went down the way it is. I was almost thinking low-key type booking for Austin Aries. But Austin Aries does do a promo. He talks about how basically he's an asshole, and he's kind of looked at himself in the mirror. MLW continues to be the land of misfits. And Austin Aries cuts a promo saying he's not a heavyweight. He's never been a heavyweight despite being a heavyweight champion. He is a middleweight, and he's coming for Teddy Hart. So there you go. We cut to the Dynasty. And they're at Martha's Vineyard kind of hanging out. They talk about their tans, kind of cut a joke. What do you want, the Hogan 88 or the 91 or something? And they're just like, what, 91? Oh, no, obviously the 88. So there you go. Savio Vega is coming to MLW soon, so that should be okay. Errol Dominguez and Sam Black in a handicap match versus Jacob Fatu. Basically, Jacob Fatu wrecks these two guys. It's very cool. She's done, Fatu is so, WWE bred, it hurts. It pains to see it because he is a star, and MLW knows it, so. Zelina De La Renta is then interviewed about going too far, getting rid of Sammy Callahan. She drops the words goat fucker in reference to Callahan still. Love it. She says she's a 22-year-old in control, and we must be so hard from looking at her. Love the words Zelina uses. You know what? I'll have a drink to Zelina De La Renta. Still the best manager in wrestling right now going on today. All right. We get a promo by Mance Warner. He's outside by a fence drinking live beers. Very pro-American. Runs down Zelina and Los Angeles Park. Made me laugh. He is a headhunter and taking out Zelina and her crew. Manser totally gets how giving some significance makes it more special. When Manser puts his beer down, that means business. When Manser puts his hat on backwards, means business. Cuts a good promo, I will say. Couple that with the knee pad up, knee pad down spot in the match, and he has 3 things that make you excited based on his actions. Yeah, Mance Warner is a good promo. I've really come around on the guy. I still don't like his finisher. His style's not me, but I would be lying if I said I'm not entertained by the guy. Main event time. Tom Lawler versus Joseph Samael. Basically, the whole point is Samael isn't out to win this match. He wants to soften up Lawler for Fatu next week. Zelina is watching the match in She's watching on, and we're told LA Park is lurking. As we remember, LA Park won the Battle Royale, so we got the golden ticket. It's basically your Money in the Bank. This is basically a brawl for a while, but Samael kind of keeps with the heelish moves. He's gouging out eyes, wear down holds. He's very old school about it all. I can see people saying it's boring, but I really liked it because it really gets him over as a heel and kind of that enhancement guy for the bigger dude. You have your factions, you have the totem pole, and Samael is kind of that upper totem pole guy, but he's not Fatu level kind of deal. So Fatu slowly decimates Lawler, crowd's booing heavily. We are shown Zelina backstage again. So let's see here. Lawler and Samael try to use a spike on each other. Lawler pushes the ref down. Ref calls for a DQ, even though he has never called for DQs before, unless Myron Reed and Rich Swann are involved. Chaos backstage and at ringside. Show goes off the air. So there you go. That was a show. It kind of got me excited for Kings of Colosseum. I definitely liked the Lawler Samael kind of we're in this to fight attitude. That was really cool. The Fatu squash was awesome. Usually not a fan. And yeah, I liked the opener. So on to Kings of Colosseum. This was okay. As the card went up, I got more and more excited. So we have the National Openweight Championship. This was the Hammerstone kind of open challenge. Kota Brazil comes out. This goes about how you would expect. An okay kind of match. Kota Brazil worked his ass off. Hammerstone hits the Nightmare Pendulum. He kind of fucked it up. But he does get the pin anyways. So, there's that. Oh, let's see. MJF grabs the mic. Dynasty brings an American flag. MJF says some questionable Latino heat gathering things and challenges the Hart Foundation for the MLW titles that they stole last week. Let's see. Simon Gotch does a promo with Contra Unit. Remind us he's still on the team. Let's see. Cornette tells us about Gotch and Hackenschmidt and how they had the first World Championship match. That bleeds into the announcement about MLW's first pay-per-view super fight, which you can actually buy. So I'll be in on that. Let's see here. Myron Reed with Jordan Oliver versus Rey Oros. So, Rich Swann used to be part of this little Myron Reed campaign, but now he's not, even though he's the one that started it. And now Jordan Oliver's in it, because he's kind of that early 2000s hip-hop Eminem type character that I'm not into. I really don't care either way. The match is okay. It was effective. It was fine. It was very fast-paced. It's not Rey Horus Flamita from a couple weeks ago. Myron Reed can go, but he still has ways to go in the ring. Hart Foundation accepts the tag title challenge, and they cut the awkwardly funny promo. They give Pillman they invoke the Freebird rule, so they put Pillman in the match as opposed to Davey Boy Smith. So we'll see if this comes back to bite him. Jim Cornette interviews Zelina De La Renta, and it wasn't anything. I was very disappointed about it. Zelina De La Renta comes out looking like $1 million, and then Cornette kind of self-plugs himself, and yeah, we're done here. There's a Wagner Jr. Video package, gets you hyped for the AAA legend. Dynasty cuts another backstage promo. Then we see the history between Lawler and Contra Unit, and we get to the main fucking event. Zelina De La Renta is sitting ringside to watch this match. She's on her phone. She's playing Do I cash in the golden ticket rule? I really like this. Good managerial stuff. Samael accompanies Fatu versus Tom Lawler. So the big moment of this feud was actually when Lawler got kidnapped and his haircut, and now Lawler has a better haircut. Because he kind of, yeah. I guess it's funny. I don't know, it made me laugh. Fatu is undefeated, so that's part of the story. Very interesting is Lawler ends up kicking Fatu in the nuts, and the ref didn't call for the bell. Fatu then got kicked 4 times in the chest, and then he ends up no-selling it. No matter what Lawler does, it has no effect on the big, scary Samoan. Fatu fights back, hits the pop-up Samoan drop that just decimates every opponent that we've ever seen at this point in MLW. Well, Tom Lawler is no exception. He follows that up with his sick, awesome, best moonsault ever. Fatu pins Lawler like he's some yesterday's scrub that you need to throw in the garbage. Fatu remains undefeated, and he's the MLW champion. I really liked Tom Lawler as champion. His cage match with Low Key was definitely a low point because of what happened. But I like Lawler. He made it a big fight feel. I think he just wasn't up against the right opponents that could work. But now MLW has these guys now. Whether it's you can put Teddy Hart in the picture, Austin Aries, the list goes on. But Fatu is the champion, and I love it. It is just it's talk about putting the rocket to the star kind of deal. No complaints out of me. I would have done the same thing. So what does that put me with MLW? 56 minutes? Alright. Maybe I could have made that shorter. Uh-oh. Wrong note. 42 to 56. Plus minus 1 minute because, well, what we do. Alright. I have a drop to play. Very much looking forward to what MLW has in store for the future with Fatu in charge. Chaos will reign supreme with Contra. Where's my Beyond Wrestling one? There we go. There we go. Beyond Wrestling, just their interaction with the crowd. Rich Palladino as the announcer, I love it. And let's get this thing started. There's a lot to go through. Beyond Wrestling, uncharted territory as we gear up a couple weeks away now from Americanrana 19, their biggest show of the year. That's what all of this is for. Building up to that one show. Yes, I am going to Americanrana 19. I am very much looking forward to it in Foxwoods, Connecticut. I'm hyped. They announced they're coming back to Rhode Island in September, and they're going to be at a beach house, which is sick awesome. I'm up for some wrestling on the beach. I want some Bash at the beach mentality, or spring break, or whatever it might be. Bring back WCW Nitro type feels. This is episode 14, is a free 3-hour show on Fight TV this week. I'm all for it. It's also Joey Janela's 30th birthday bash the day before 4th of July. So we got a big feeling here. Chris Dickinson has a birthday present, or a big package. You know someone's inside. Joey Janela's on commentary. He's all drunk and excited or whatever. And out from the box comes Sonny Kiss. The controversy is Joey Janela just says, it's a trap. To me, I took it as a Star Wars reference. To the PC politically correct people, you can't no longer make anime jokes anymore, because now it's offensive in that way. But whatever, it totally went over my head. This was an ass-kicking contest. Sonny Kiss and Dickinson kicked the shit out of each other. Sonny Kiss does twerk too much. I'm not about that. Very athletic person. Just the twerking's gotta kind of stop. But yeah, Dickinson wins. No surprise there. Decent enough match. Rich Palladino announces that Team Tremendous is now off the show. The crowd boos heavily. They don't like this because Team Tremendous just turned heel, and this was a big match against Bear Country. Well, Rich Palladino then chastises the crowd for booing because then he kind of swerves them and says Dan Barry had an emergency appendectomy. And then the crowd just goes silent. Oh no. Well, they announced Bear Country's new opponents are now the stunt doubles, Marco and Logan Stunt, the two children, children of the corn, children of the wannabe froze. They're whatever. It turns out to be a comedy match with hard-hitting spots, which was actually very surprising. Sydney Bacabella gives a really ridiculous story about trying to convince us how the ropes are tighter and higher than usual. Marco, I think it was Marco Stunt, he's wearing an AEW shirt, getting ready for Fight for the Fallen. In this case, stunt doubles do double up. They get on each other's shoulders. They equal one person of the Bear Country. One bear, you might say. Bear Beefcake does a springboard moonsault out of the corner. And this leads to the stunts trying to giving him a pile driver, but obviously that's not going to happen. The stunts do a barrage of kicks to try to take down Bronson, but it's not happening. Beefcake returns with an avalanche fall away, Samoan drop, flinging Marco from corner to corner. I do love how this felt like a squash match, and it was the little guys trying to team up on one bear, as opposed to both of them. Not a very good match, but entertaining nonetheless. On to the Discovery Gauntlet, not featuring our glory savior Ovaltine Dream anymore. It is Christian Casanova coming down with douchebag white suit wearing fuckhead Cam Zagami, the one of the most hated people in Beyond Wrestling now. Cam Zagami is in Casanova's corner. He's like a useless bouncer. He brings out the velvet rope for his Discovery Gauntlet companion. But yeah, Zagami is super hated. So Casanova's against Bro Keller, spelled like Louisiana, with the EAUX deal. Apparently this Bro Keller is something of a regular in the Virginia scene in Nova Pro, which I'm not too familiar with, but regardless, Zagami does his heel manager tactics and helps Casanova win this match. Zagami gets on the mic, but the crowd hates him so much the boos just drown out anything he could say. And then Casanova tries to talk, and Cam just goes, "Don't even bother. They can't even hear us anyways." Kind of deal. Then we get our next match, and this was fucking awesome. It is Anthony Green, the retrosexual, against the Patriot. What ends up happening here is kinda... how do I put this? It was a slow back-and-forth affair with an old man in the ring. Anthony Green does his best to try to take the Patriot to school, you might say. But unfortunately, after Green fights back with a sleeper hold, he gets a kitchen sink knee to the gut. And then the Patriot, god damn, I'm all over the place. It's an old school style match. There's a Michinoku driver that the Patriot does. Bacabella, Sydney, I love this guy. He makes a crack saying that's not patriotic because it's not an American move. Makes a lot of Uncle Sam references. He avoids the moonsault from Green from the top rope. Gives him the Uncle Slam for the win. Another loss on the Retribution Tour for Anthony Green. But the best part of this match was definitely once the Patriot wins the match, the entire crowd sings the United States of America national anthem, which forces Green to put on his heart because that's the American thing to do. It was a very nice, touching feeling in the crowd, emphasizing, or at least upgrading the match quality. Wheeler Yuta is back for the first time since episode 3. He just got off a month-long tour in Germany in WXW, one where he learned a lot of catch wrestling style, as is the Central Europe, with the smaller rings. Yuta has clearly improved because of this. He's a step above a lot of other guys in the ring now, especially his opponent here in Alex Reynolds. They do some mat spots. They exchange moves. Yuta has really gotten much better with grapple. What's the word I'm looking? Grapple sequences. Alex Reynolds has a difficult time trying to keep up with this. Reynolds does take a German suplex inside out, but then Reynolds mocks John Silver with some kicks to a kneeling Yuta, because that's used to be John Silver's move. Let's see. Chuck O'Neal rushes instantly out to the ring to try to attack Yuta, trying to get revenge on that. Yuta again gets out of the armbar, clotheslines Chuck to the outside. So the story here is because Yuta got to wrestle all these catch wrestling styles and grapple sequences, he can now get out of submission moves like nobody's business. Commentary announces Rock and Roll Express are the opponents for the Butcher and the Blade at American Rana. I was kind of hoping for Bear Country to go against the Rock and Roll Express, but we'll learn who they're facing later. Layla Hirsch versus Solo Darling. Yeah, Layla Hirsch coming off her loss in the Discovery Gauntlet. Well, she's getting another match here. This is all a build for the Women's Wrestling Revolution show, Let Them Eat Cake. So Solo is on a super streak in Beyond Wrestling. Layla Hirsch is super tiny. She does a lot of MMA-type maneuvers and German suplexes. Solo just takes her to school, just a lot of back and forth. Hirsch quickly taps out to the Sharp Stinger submission after a short, effective match. I quite liked it. Now we have Cam Zagami versus Thomas Santel. Thomas Santel, our lovely neighborhood nerd, the Ovaltine Dream, is getting his revenge on the fucker that cost him the Discovery Gauntlet. However, Zagami, as he gets in the ring, apparently he has Richard Holiday and other douchebags ready to jump Thomas Santel like the nerd he is coming out. They might as well steal his lunch money. And as we remember, Santel rescued Nick Gage from a similar beatdown, so it was very clear Cam Zagami wanted nothing to do with the match and just wanted to take out the Ovaltine Dream. How dare he? Nick Gage, of all people, eventually appears, runs the people wild, he gives a big spine buster to Casanova, but Zagami's hightailed it out of there. Santel and Gage kind of awkwardly bump into each other, and then they shake hands. And it is important to note that this is probably Santel and Nick Gage are teaming up to face the Chop and Roll Express, which is the team of Tom Lawler and Brian Alvarez. So I'm very much looking forward to that match. We have our culmination of our Chikara's nonsense. We get the 4v4 match, which Mike Quackenbush himself has joined the team of Thief Ant, Green Ant, and Razorhawk 2000. As we know, the most annoying person from the future of the year 2000. Don't ask. It was a fun Chikara's match. Lots of lucha back and forth, guys going in and out of the ring. They hit a lot of moves. Not so much for storytelling, but there is the case of the Cajun Crawdad and Crummel's doing heelish things. But Mike Quackenbush makes a big save. He hits his Quacken Driver off of Crummel's back, which is really cool. Makes a big run at the end. It's just nonsense. People running up against, and it's almost like a bunch of cars stuck in traffic, and then the one car gets in the middle lane, and you just go, I want to be that guy. That's kind of the gauge I got from this match. They announced some things for next week, so be it. Denver, Colorado hits the ring for a speech talking about the future of Uncharted territory. The remainder of the series will be at the White Eagle, due to the fact that the Electric Haze got bombarded with bullshit construction outside in the middle of summer, without the bar, I guess, knowing. But anyways, on to our main event. Josh Briggs versus Joey Janela. The crowd throws cigarettes into the ring for Janela, but the gifts stop very quick as Briggs caught him with a backbreaker immediately. They go back and forth heavily. Briggs elbows his way back into the ring at one point and gets caught out of the corner with a stacked up powerbomb before the pair begin escalating things further with more strikes. Very, very much forearm v forearm type of stuff. Briggs has not been impressing me in singles action lately, but Janela very much has, surprisingly enough. Janela gets a second win, but is quickly countered by a chokeslam before a choke bomb landed for a near fall. So Janela's already kicked out of Briggs' big new finisher. Not sure how I feel about that. Yakuza kick clocked Janela in the corner really hard, but another one missed as Joey looked to counter it. He kind of gets a burning hammer, but lands Briggs right on his neck, kind of. He folded up, and this was the end of the match. Pretty good stuff. Good birthday win for the birthday boy. It definitely builds up, not Briggs, but Janela more for the more high-end, high-profile 60-minute Iron Man match in a couple weeks. So there you go. Moving on to episode 15, which was a very forgettable show. So I can just go through this right fast. Wheeler Yuta defeats the trying to return, who looks good but isn't good, DL Hurst. Bear Country defeats the team I don't care about, Jimmy Lloyd and KTB. They do call out LAX for American Rana in 2 weeks, which is really cool. We get Kobe Durst versus Christian Casanova, of course accompanied by the dickhead Cam Zagami. He's calling himself Club Cam now, and he's wearing an even more ridiculous suit jacket. So the douchebag uppityness continues. And just like the match from the previous week, there is still very much Casanova is good at getting a lot of high-flying moves and getting booed with this combination of Cam Zagami. White Eagle, yet again and beyond, drown out Zagami from even doing one iota of a promo. I love it. Alexia Nicole versus Solo Darling. Alexia Nicole looked, I guess, okay. She reminded me a lot of how Ethan Page wrestles. And to what I found out, Ethan Page has a lot to do with a lot of these Canadians coming down for shows in America. But yeah, Sharp Stinger, Solo rolls her up for the win. Solo's continues her I'm over as fuck journey in Beyond Wrestling and New England. Randy Summers and Brandon Watts get an introduction as they're here for, milk chocolate reasons. Their record they want an opportunity to show how tough they are. And, oh man, they get Nick Gage and Thomas Santel. And after a slow Nick Gage and Santel start of bumping into each other by accident, not really feeling it, while Milk Chocolate here very much is. They remind me of a less successful JFK, for WXW reference. Nick Gage and Thomas Santel eventually get on the same page, and they just start wrecking him, basically like jobbers, so I think we know where this is going. John Sebastian from Sports Entertainment Experience, he comes out with a brand new belt in his bag, along with an announcement for American Rana. It's a new title belt for Feast Championship Wrestling. Announcement that Cheeseburger will defend this new title in a ladder match at American Rana. And here comes Ken Doane, who hits the ring. So they kind of insert themselves into the match here. You get Anthony Green coming down. He hits the ring to stop Ken Doane from bullying the SSE guy, Sebastian. He just got decked and thrown outside. Lights went out. Johnny Cockstrong came out with a personal pleasure device. Doane knocks him down too, as he's had enough of the radioactive crotch. So, okay then. I thought it was funny as fuck, though. Brad Hollister versus Chuck O'Neil. Chuck O'Neil basically wrecks this guy's shit. We haven't seen Brad Hollister since taking on Santel on the Discovery Gauntlet. So the Discovery Gauntlet is also feeding as a way to get these unknowns over, or at least introduced into the company, and then they come back in weeks following, which I'm very much for. So anyways, match awards in a stoppage because O'Neil kills this guy. Air was sucked out of the room for that one. Chuck takes the mic to try and oh, that's right, now I remember. Brad Hollister goes for a suicide dive and essentially pops his knee in the opposite direction, and the ref has to stop the match. Chuck O'Neil tries to make the most out of this. He cuts a heel promo. Wheeler Yuta comes out as someone who, quote-unquote, wasn't legit. Gets caught with a Michinoku driver. He escapes another armbar, so we have this story continuing. And then we have our Pentennial main event, which probably should have been the main event. It's Josh Briggs versus Ethan Page. Before the match, Ethan Page cuts a promo on behalf of Johnny Impact, or Johnny Foxwoods. He calls out Briggs for being part of a B-League feeder company for WWE, which is quite a big jab. I would say it's 50-50 with AEW and WWE at this point. Evolve is the feeder company. But anyways, this match is an Ethan Page match. I will never get into the way Ethan Page wrestles or his look. But Briggs does get the win, sets him up for Johnny. Fair enough. And then our main event is something that's very much forgettable. It's Top Dogs, Davian and Skylar versus Chris Statlander and the Russian Layla Hirsch. Statlander and Hirsch come out together. Hirsch next to Statlander really makes her look half the size that she is. Statlander looked much better in this match. Definitely the frequent tags and working with people. But let's face it, Davian and Skylar aren't the best workers either. I don't know why this match was put last. At all, other than the fact it was a women's tag match. Big point here is Statlander gets on the mic afterwards, and she wants Kimberly. However, Solo Darling interrupts her, and Solo Darling is pretty peeved that she wasn't challenged for American Rana, and so those two will be facing off next week on Uncharted territory. Hell fucking yeah. I understand why it's Kimberly versus Statlander to finish off the feud at the biggest show of the year, but if they were going to make a story out of this, hopefully, this is my hope, hopefully that Kimberly interferes and ruins this match immediately, and then we get Solo Darling versus Statlander at a much bigger show. Hopefully the one in August or September. preferably the one in September, so I can see them fight on the beach. So, American Raw is shaping up very well. These last 2 episodes didn't do much for me. There was some highlights, and I'm looking forward to the finish up of what's going on there. And whew, man, oh man. Let's keep this rolling. Keep it rolling. Rolling. I gotta drink more whiskey. Let's see. There we go.
You blocked me on Facebook, and now you're going to die.
Yeah, Tokyo Cyber Squad. Love them. It's the whole reason to watch Stardom. # watch Stardom. So, as we do, after going through the weekly wrestling, gotta talk about the latest Stardom shows. Yes, I'm well aware that Shinkiba the day and night show is out, and the big title match in Nagoya is out. However, that is not what was on for the last 2 weeks. It is just the Takaoka show on July 7th, and it was a house show, more or less. But it was a fun show, I will say that. You know what? More Scotch. I keep wanting to say Scotch, but it's Canadian whiskey. Man. Whew. Let's, I gotta chase that with some water. That one hit me bad. My cat is no longer bothering me, so I guess he's calmed down. You know what? I'll save the next pour for when I finish talking Stardom. Stardom's very important. As I do, I always skip the Young Lioness match, no matter who it is. We get a 3-way, Starlight Kid versus Hazuki versus Jungle Kiona of Tokyo Cyber Squad, whom has a new entrance music and new costume. It's a cool little pink and black combo. Very much, her music very much matches her group now, along with the costume. She has the excessive safety glasses, coming out with a super soaker, and the kids absolutely love Jungle Kiona. Now, when she's in there with Starlight Kid and Hazuki, especially Hazuki, you realize how much bigger Jungle Kiona is in almost every way, and her old costume used to hide her midsection more, so maybe this is to encourage Jungle Kiona to kind of break out of her shell a little bit, and I'm all for it. I am a fan of the new costume, very much so. I think it makes her look more appealing, I will say, because the whole jungle part and John is not a thing anymore. Good speedy 3-way of Hazuki and Starlight trying to take the powerful Jungle Kiona out early, but after those initial 5 minutes, Jungle Kiona rolls back with power and a big splash from the top rope to pin Starlight. Not bad. I think Jungle Kiona earned a high-speed title match, if you ask me. But anyways. Leo and Utami of Queen's Quest versus Saki and Zaya Brookside of Stars. Match was fine and harmless. That's my short and simple way to describe this. I just have a hard time getting into anything Leo does, because she still fights, wrestles, and looks like a small boy child. And then on the other side of the spectrum, Zaya is the same thing, but a small girl child. So, oh well, I can't win here. Saki pins Leo after a top rope double foot stomp. So hey, the foot stomp is a finisher. How do you like that? Tokyo Cyber Squad of Zobi, that's Bobby Tyler and Zoe Lucas, and Hane Kimura, so a trios match, versus the Queen's Quest team of Azumi, Priestley, and Momo Watanabe. Azumi quickly makes heel goof Zoe Lucas look way better in the ring, but Zoe Lucas has a real hard time selling anything still. So, Zoe Lucas and Candy Floss are... I can't recall when I started watching them, but it's been at least 2 to 3 years. and they still look exactly the same in character and in the ring. Zoe Lucas, even as a heel, just can't do it. She just looks like not even a mean girl. It's like a good girl trying to be mean. I just can't get into it. On the other side, Bobby Tyler continues to grow and seems to be getting more and more comfortable each tour she goes on. Not much else to say about Queen's Quest here, other than they are all as solid as usual. Hana Kimura was the star in this match, as she makes Azumi tap out to the Tequila Sunrise. So there you go. Trios Stars versus Oedo Tai. The Stars team is Mayu, Arisa, and Toni Storm. A sick, awesome team, minus Arisa. The Oedo Tai team is Andres Miyagi, Tora, and Kagetsu. This had a good setup story type match. Its start was very short. Singles match of Arisa versus Miyagi, essentially. Arisa was lost, and not much clicking overall with her. There was a long middle of Kagetsu versus Mayu, playing off further of their Wrestle Queendom match, which was very good, both here and there. And the last sequence was Toni Storm versus Tora, which Toni sold her ass off to make Tora's limited moveset look very good. Because if you've ever watched a Tora match, it's like spear, 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 splash, we're done here. In the end, Storm 0, Stars wins. Enjoyable. I quite liked it. Next on the docket is, again, of course, the Shinkiba shows and the Big Nagoya show, where the tag titles will be defended. And I have the bets that JPQ, over at No Particular Angle Podcast, we have a bet, because we're going to meet at the Chikara show of King of Trios, Night 2, and whomever has the most points per bet, we still need 3 more, we got to think of them, from now until October. Artist Champions on October 1st. I have TCS, he has Oedo Tai. The winner of the trilogy, Saki versus Natsu feud, naturally I have Natsu Sumire, and he has Saki Kashima. Faction leader singles title, who gets it first? I have Hana Kimura, and he has Momo Watanabe. I took a big chance on that one, because there's a good possibility that Momo Watanabe could win the red belt before October 1st. But I'm banking on Hana Kimura gets a big push before the 5-star Grand Prix, because that's kind of the culmination of where this bet ends, and she takes the Wonder title, the white belt, from Arisa. So that's my thinking. Who wins the 5-star Grand Prix? There is a point system to it. You get 3 choices, 3 for the winner, and then 1 from the groups, or the blocks. I have Momo winning the 5-star Grand Prix, and I think, see, this is my other thinking, I think this is where she gets the lead into gaining the red belt. I have Mayu and B as my other 2 choices. He also has Momo, so very interesting. And then he has Tom Nakano, which is a bold pick, and Hana Kimura, which isn't a bad pick at all. I thought about it myself. Next tag champs, I have Tokyo Cyber Squado, and he has Oedo Tai. So it's whomever takes it off the Queen's Quest Powerhouse duo. Who is the red champion by October 1st? I took a very bold choice in saying it's Mayu Iwatani, and he has B. Priestley retaining until then. So I think he's sort of in the mindset of covering all grounds here. And then Jamie Hayter's biggest singles win by that point. He has Hazuki, and I have Jungle Kiona. So there's a fun little bet. We'll come up with 3 more later. All right. That does it for Stardom. A little quick today on Stardom, but that's okay. I got a lot to talk about. Lots to talk about. As I gotta play my next drop. WXW. Where is it? Where's my drop? Come on. Lucky kid. There he is. Jesus. Okay. Not much to say about WXW. It is, so we've entered July. This is their off season. They get a month off in July each year. Gearing up for Shortcut to the Top, their Royal Rumble, if you will, in August. So this is their Road to Shortcut to the Top show, and it was not good. It was not good. It did not get me excited for Shortcut to the Top, even though I'm already excited for it, because it's a Rumble. This venue they're in looks like the lobby of an art museum with like 50 people there. It was very odd. There was an odd, wonky, awful battle royal to determine the number 30 spot for Shortcut to the Top, in which it comes down to, I'm not shitting you, JFK, Absolute Andy, and Leon von Gosteren. Yeah, not kidding. In which Francis Caspin wins with the help of his buddies. So at least it makes sense. Doesn't get you hyped for that number 30 pop. Well, as it turns out, the board of director general manager Karsten Beck isn't having any of this. He will not have cheating on it while he's in charge. So he punishes the win by making Caspin now come out first instead. I don't like this booking due to it creates so many inconsistencies with other storylines, most notably the Lucky Kid losing his title shot storyline to Absolute Andy due to Pete Bouncer's interference. So it's only bad if it affects Karsten's ego, I guess. The only loophole I could think of is Bobby Guns felt bad and gave Lucky Kid his shot back, so because the same thing happened to him, so this causes Karsten Beck just to not have to step in. Anyways. Aussie Open defeats the Crown in an okay tag match. It was fine. Urine Simmons and Alexander James are super fed up with. They're in like a hotel hallway. They find a cameraman. I think it's like the hallway in this lobby art museum. But yeah, they put they do a good promo. They're sick of being on the undercard. Each of them just cut this anger, fed up. They beat the tag champions. Then you revoke their win, and then you put them on the undercard, and then they don't tag for a while, and then you put them in these situations. It was a very fun Justice We Want the Tag Titles promo. Fight Muller is backstage for an interview with the new girl. I know she's been there a while, but anyways. It's not Tommy Geeson anymore. They've put this new girl here. She's okay so far. I don't have to... I don't knock on her too much. She just messes up the intros a little bit still. She asks Muller what's up with Ringkampf and Walter, and then Fight Muller asks her, well, you tell me. This is where I like her, though. She's very quick-witted, and she just says... Nein, du bist mit Ringkampf. You're with Ringkampf. You tell me. What the fuck? I asked you the question. And Muller is clearly lost with all this, and he just doesn't answer the question. He just talks about respect. So what is going on with Ringkampf? Indeed, it's a big question there. Big question mark. We don't know where it's going. Maybe it's rebuilding with Fight Muller, which I'd be okay with. Get you to kind of start over, stay with it. You still have your branding. It's fine. Wheeler Yuta rolls up Lucky Kid via an Okada roll after a Pete Bouncer distraction in that match. Ivan Kiev is still awkwardly in the middle. They have a scrap of sorts. So that story continues. Crowd just not feeling it, just not executed very well. You can definitely feel the booking fading on this show. Main event saw Avalanche and Fight Muller versus Marius Al-Ani and Emil Satoshi. Lots of Satoshi emo antics, and Alani is not happy. They even met backstage, and Alani just goes, I am a superstar. You don't give a shit about anything. Are you even going to be in this match? So, they have a pretty good main event here. Basically, what happens at the end after Satoshi is doing all his bullshit, Alani just has enough of it. He slaps Satoshi in the face, and he looks at the ref and claps his hands, and the ref goes, okay, that was the tag? Yeah, sure. Muller and Avalanche beat down Satoshi for the win. As Alani is he takes a seat in the front row and watches. He just had enough. Not the best Road 2 show to get me hyped for Shortcut to the Top. It seems to be a running theme with WXW since Jacoby left the scene, unfortunately. So, on to WrestleQueendom 2. As I gotta make my notes. 135. Where is my next drop, people? There it is. Alrighty. WrestleQueendom 2 by Pro Wrestling Eve over in the UK. Alright. You know what? I'll pour one out for the boys. I gotta refill my glass. I've only had one so far in this over-hour cast. There you go. Hope everyone heard that as I was talking. I do like this Canadian blended whiskey. It's very nice. It's affordable. Black Velvet. Not the smoothest stuff, that's for sure. Kicks your ass. Alright. So, I watched WrestleQueendom last year and loved it and thought everything was fantastic. And then I didn't cover on the cast because I was a fool. That was water. But let's get this out of the way first. The commentary is very boring. It's so dull. You will be put to sleep. I don't like it. Anyways, enough of that. Singles match starts out the show. Big opening matchup. We get Kagetsu with Jamie Hayter and Session Moth Martina of Oedo Tai versus Mayu Iwatani, who's accompanied by Arisa Hoshiki. This goes to a 15-minute time limit draw. Just an awesome match that showcased Stardom at its best to the UK crowd. They get a standing ovation. Definitely a match worth seeking out and watching. Mayu looks as healthy as ever. She's got the spring back in her step. Brought some more rivalry to the factions too. This was grand stuff, and it was easily the best match of the show, and it only went downhill from there, unfortunately. Well, sort of, to an extent. It got middled. You know what? That's the better way to put it. It just got middled out. But yeah. Go watch Mayu Iwatani and Kagetsu. Singles match, Laura De Matteo defeats Jordan Grace. This was built off a bit of a grudge match. Ends with a kicking octopus submission of sorts. Definitely the best De Matteo match I have seen. So kudos to Jordan Grace for pulling out what she's done, and De Matteo stepping up her game in this one. I enjoyed it. Now, for the rest of the show up until the main event, I did not so much enjoy it. We have the Eve Tag Team title 3-way match for the vacant tag titles. We get the Wrestle Friends team of Aaron Angel and Jetta, who aren't very good, defeating the team of the Diamond Vogue Collective, which is a sick, awesome name. It's Ginny and Mercedes Blaze. Ginny was very much absent in this match, so the best wrestler was not in it, essentially. And Medusa Complex, so Charlie Evans and Millie McKenzie are back again, and they kind of had bit part roles as well. But yeah, Aaron Angel and Jetta win the tag titles, not feeling it. Oh, I forgot to mention, the ring announcer for Eve has a sick, awesome pink mohawk, but she sucks. She has the most monotone voice you can imagine trying to get people hyped for a wrestling match. When she did shine was for this one, and it was the Undeath match. of Su Yung versus Session Goth Martina. And Session Moth Martina's alternate ego via Jimmy Havoc even comes out to his music. They have a hardcore match. And that's all I gotta say about that. The ring announcer did make it. She goes, and here comes Su Yung. Kind of, anyways. Charlie Morgan is out, and unfortunately, she has an announcement. Due to her ankle injury in Shimmer 4 months ago, she must now retire at 27 years old. She makes a crazy heartfelt speech about be yourself, be you. She has no regrets. It sucks. I really liked Charlie Morgan. She was definitely one of the better wrestlers on the entire women's European scene. It sucks. I hate it. I wish her the best. She even said she wants to grow old gracefully. So maybe there's also some neck injury involved that they found. I don't know. But she was in a walking boot. You could tell the crowd was heartbroken as well. So, Wonder of Stardom title match. It's Arisa Hoshiki versus Little Miss Roxy. Match was fine. Arisa has looked worse, that's for sure. What's sad is she looked way better than Little Miss Roxy. That's what I'll say. Arisa retains. Eve International Title 3-way match. Now, this was the one I was heavily looking forward to coming in. And it had a good purpose and story to it, but it was executed poorly because of Nina Samuels. They show the video package of Jamie Hayter calling out Nina Samuels as kind of a sellout and a robot, saying her gimmick is not her, and she's just she's a robot reciting scripted lines of a non-human kind of shit, and she calls her a cunt. It's an awesome promo. Jamie Hayter oozes personality and charisma. She even looks back at the camera and she's like, "Yeah, I'm bad," kind of deal. She's got new music. Jamie Hayter is a star. I love her. And Utami is a breakout wrestling machine. So, obviously, I've been trying to get behind Nina Samuels. I'm like, she's getting better. She's trying. Well, this match against the charismatic Hayter and the super worker rookie of Utami, Nina Samuels was exposed so hard in this match. So anyways, Jamie Hayter pins Utami with the suplex breaker. That is the Falcon Arrow into the knees, which is awesome. And then match was up and down, because anytime Nina Samuels would get in, it would just stop on a dime kind of situation. Very awkward. Yeah, her Samuels stuff just doesn't look good at all still. It's very disappointing. Jamie Hayter ends up pinning Nina Samuels via a punt to the pussy, then a curb stomp. It was super messy. So it was kind of funny. I really laughed. But yeah, Jamie Hayter is now the new Eve International Champion. So she's about to go on a tour in Stardom, and she'll be carrying that belt around for Oedo Tai. Very much looking forward to that. Then we have our main event, the Eve title match, the very last match in Eve for both Kaylee Ray and Viper. Basically the two people that helped start Eve and have been mainstays for, like, I think the company's been around 7 years. You could tell they were very emotional. The first 5 minutes were kind of goofy. They're throwing water bottles back and forth, kind of messing with each other. Then they got serious as it went on. It was very much like the Pete Dunne Tyler Bate match from the Progress kind of goodbye stuff. The match was only 14 minutes. I thought these two could go a lot more, but they were kind of holding back, you could tell, because they're signed full-time with NXT UK now. Really think they're going to get lost in the shuffle in WWE. But I guess they've done everything they can in Europe to this point with the women's division. So their only places they could go is either like moving to Japan in their women's division or going to AEW. So well, it kind of sucks. Viper does end up defeating Kaylee Ray, and then Rhea O'Reilly comes on to show a video package, much like what she did with Toni Storm. She's been the matchmaker for 3 years, and on her last night, she just buries Viper. And what I mean by this is she books herself into a title match as head booker. Right? That is the story here. And it is a clusterfuck at the end. Viper hits her Viper Driver, which just beat Kaylee Ray in the big title match, goodbye match. And then Rhea O'Reilly immediately springs to her feet off a distraction from her mates. And DDT's Viper on the belt, becomes new champion. It's heat, I guess. It is lots of heat, I suppose. The story makes sense in right here. It was just executed to a real dumb end to the show, especially with what everything represented. Trying too much too hard. Wrestle Queendom 1 was way better last year. I didn't hate the show, but it was very very average is how I would describe it. Okay. 1:45. 10 minutes of Eve. All right. What's going to be even shorter is the next show we're going to talk about. Here we go. All right, Travis Banks. You're here. I have things to say. Progress, Chapter 90. The Lonesome Death of the One-Man Cabaret Act. Not much a lot that was going on here except a couple matches, so I'll just go through them really quick. Niwa of South Pacific Power Trip with TK Cooper and Banks defeats Ricky Shane Page in 10 minutes. I think Travis Banks would have been more suited for this spot, to be honest, and I'll get to that later why. We get a singles match where Jordan Devlin defeats a game Brent Banks. He's from Smash Wrestling in Toronto. I've seen him wrestle a couple times. It was fine. Candy Floss defeats Lana Austin in 9 minutes. I didn't like this match at all. I went into why I don't like Candy Floss earlier. We had a cool tag match of Dan Maloney and Trent Seven losing to LAX. Good tag match showing from LAX, as is their business. Trent had a good showing, while Dan Maloney, as usual, is just, something's missing in both character and game. I just don't see him as breaking through just yet. Needs more intensity, get better at the selling. His overall game just needs to improve. And this is the same guy that came up with Tyler Bate. Really goes to show you that guys have different trajectories, right? So I don't see Dan Maloney winning the Natural Progression Series, but I see him getting through at least a couple rounds anyways. Aussie Open are given their stolen tag titles back from the 198 due to injury from, I think it's Flash Morgan Webster, and then the South Pacific Power Trip attacks from behind, so this is a very heavy Kiwi show. They cut a "We Deserve the Tag Title" promo and steals them. When Banks was champion, the seats were filled. Now that your precious Walter's champion, not so much, even though that's not true. Aussie Open grab the mic as they're going away, say the now mystery main event is for those damn tag titles. And that's the match made. The best match of the night is definitely David Starr and the OJMO, Michael Oku, defeating Walter and a opponent of mystery. It was going to be Fight Mueller, but Mueller got in a legit car accident. So lots of legit injuries before going to shows. And Walter's partner turns out to be the big panda himself, Shigehiro Irie. This was a fantastic match that went 17 minutes and 41 seconds. A great length to highlight the beatdown of the OJMO. I love the moment when Starr psychs up Mr. Oku here. And that leads to Oku trying to come back and then just get punted down. Oku is very smooth in the ring. He's a little too reliant on the drop kicks for my taste, but that's okay for now. He's just filled with oodles of potential. Star does get the final pin, hitting that shoulder breaker powerbomb deal. And he looks right in Walter's face as he's pinning Irie, and Oku holds back Walter. Sets up a good I'm coming for you story kind of situation. No words spoken. We get an okay singles match between Paul Robinson defeating Connor Mills in 9 minutes. Kind of a filler match. Your cooldown match. I didn't like this spot. And then your main event was the aforementioned Progress Tag Title match of Aussie Open versus South Pacific Power Trip of TK Cooper and Travis Banks. Now, I mentioned earlier I would have rather had Travis Banks in the opening match against Ricky Shane Page get his singles dominance back, and this would also be a fantastic moment to highlight Niwa in the tag title scene with TK Cooper. Because let's face it, Travis Banks is the bigger single star. And TK Cooper and Niwa would be a great addition to the tag scene, along with strengthening the stable and Niwa's credibility, along with TK Cooper. So, that being said, Travis Banks really took all of the limelight from the other Kiwis in this match. It did go 19 and a half minutes. It kind of dragged because of that. I just couldn't get as into it as I normally do Aussie Open matches. So, Chapter 90 overall was, I wouldn't even call it average, because it was truly a one-match show, as far as I'm concerned. The LAX match was good, and then everything else was kind of it felt like an old 90s wrestling show, with the way it was put together and its setup. So, I've already watched Chapter 90, but I gotta save that for the next show, and that was fucking awesome. I loved that show. Okay. So that was Progress. Good stuff. Good stuff. Nice and quick. Got so much more to talk about. Christ. You know what? I'm gonna take a break, recharge my batteries a little bit, and I'll come back. Okay, I'm back. Recharge my batteries a little bit. Taking a drink of my whiskey. Let's get this thing going here.
R.E.T.
Yes, you heard that right. It is Dragon Gate time. A promotion I've been easing my way into 2019, and really fallen in love with the style. I've been minorly exposed to Dragon Gate over the years. I know my history of it fairly well. I think well enough for someone who's not a regular watcher, and I love the style. It's definitely right up my alley to a point. I have to preface that. But anyways, in June, they had their King of Gate series. So think of the New Japan Cup, or the King of the Ring, or the Super Strong Style 16. Anyways, King of Gate. I watched the tournament, and I want to skip all the way to the final 3 days, because that's where everything happens. Dragon Gate tours more than any other promotion I can think of outside WWE. Like, they are crazy with it. They're very faction-based, right? And it's just straight faction-based. So a lot of their shows, even house shows, are featured around trios and 8-man tag kind of situations. So anyways, not a lot of singles action. But the King of the Gate got really interesting for the semifinals and finals. So similar how I covered the Princess Cup for Tokyo Joshi Pro. So cutting to day 16, we have our semifinal matches. Okay. We have Eita of Red, R-E-D, defeating Kai of, I believe he's Tribe Vanguard. Eita is, yes. Because Eita is a member of the Dastardly Red, R-E-D, he goes super heel here. Kai tries early to gain a little advantage, but Eita kicks him in the nuts quick off a ref viewpoint maneuver, very Ric Flair-esque, I must say. He then beats the hell out of him Suzuki-gun style, going outside the ring using chairs and the like, including a suplex onto a pile of chairs. And then he folds a chair over his head, Shawn Spears style. But it works way better. However, it also opened Kai up on the head the hard way. He didn't bleed nearly as much as Cody did. Match goes pretty quick from there. Kai delivers a powerbomb, Eita kicks out, and reverses into a slick reverse backside pin for the win. Simple match, went 12 and a half minutes. Didn't mind it so much. I just think for a semifinal match on its own day, they could have done a bit more. Our next semifinal match was amazing. It was Ben K, one of the young guns who's taking over for Dragon Gate. Between him, UT, and Skywalker, like, these guys are gunning for the ace role. With Ben K getting kicked out of RED recently, it seems he's primed for the top faster. Will that come true? We'll see. But he's taking on KZ, our quirky dance guru boy band guy who has a ton of charisma. They do an almost an 18-minute match. It goes 17:43. This was utterly fantastic. It was a bit slower than I was anticipating, though. I will say that. I was also wondering where the Ben K story would go after his getting kicked out of RED, the big heel group. His sort of alliance with Shun Skywalker is very interesting, and his run in the King of Gate tournament to eventually go through RED has been quite good. Ben K is so fast, smooth, and powerful. It's a fantastic trio combination, right? Really reminds me in a way of a young Shingo. KZ was a bumping machine. I loved him in this match. Just launching himself. Like, he'd get shotgun drop kicked at like the middle of the ring, and he'd throw himself all the way to the corner as far as he could. He'd get suplexed and just do an extra little flip on top of it. He would just flip every chance he got onto any sort of thing just to make Ben K look like a destroyer. Now, Ben K did use a shoot headbutt that started the finish to this match, much like Keno does, so fuck that move. I hate it. I hate shoot headbutts. They have no business in wrestling, especially after what we saw Shibata end his career off of, dislodging his brain. Anyways, both guys then hit the ropes twice into a Ben K super spear that rips KZ in half. It looked amazing. Just really attests to KZ's selling ability. Then he picks him up, gut-wrench style, for a sit-out powerbomb pin. Just kills KZ. Really makes it look good. This is what Aleister Black and Cesaro should have been. This was a great way for an ex-challenger of Pac to put the next challenger over kind of situation. Now on to day 17, which was the finals of the King of Gate. Not the final day, though. Kind of backwards, I know. Ben K defeats Eita in a 20-minute match. Goes 2013. First couple minutes was Ben K being the stronger guy. Got the crowd really pumping when he caught Eita from a tope con hilo into a powerbomb, throwing him into another RED member. It was incredible. I just kind of got out of my seat a little bit, just re-speaking that. In fact, I need a sip of whiskey just recounting that. Was crazy. So then, as they're on the ground, he runs the length of the ring and spears them both. It's real cool. Eita gains control back by low-bridging Ben K over the ropes to a hard bump on the floor. At least that's what Ben K made it look like. Now, all of this would have been real cool to see, but Dragon Gate thought it would be a grand idea to only have a fucking hard cam during the finals of their knockout tournament. Good God. So now we can't see any action on the outside floor. So most of the matches are confined to the ring, except with Eita involved. Eita does the suplex onto many chair spot again. There were some cool spots like a sick claymore that Benkei basically no-sold after the hit, which is very Dragon Gate. I will say that. And this is where a lot of AEW is going to come into play, because a lot of their roster has been to Dragon Gate at some point, especially the Young Bucks. So what ends up happening is they take a big move, they sell it like champs, and then when it's into getting into another move, they don't sell the move. They don't sell the move they just took. They do a move of their own, and then they get on the ground again, like it's a warrior spirit message kind of situation. Dragon Gate innovated this ring style, so that's what kind of tag team wrestling has evolved into, is this Dragon Gate style. And that's why when I watch a Dragon Gate match, I get pretty hyped up for these things. And I think that's translated into AEW, and that's what a lot of people, majority of people, like. I'm still one that also likes the isolation game. So, you know what? I'll save the rest of that thought when we get to the AEW show. So yeah, Benkei hits an angle slam after kind of no-selling that Claymore kick. There was a super comically weak ref bump, and then all of RED for like 20 seconds run roughshod on Benkei, and then he kicks out. Like, it's a very comical ref bump. Benkei no-sells Ishii style off a superplex into Benkei's fourth spear of the match, doesn't cut him nearly in half as he did KZ. Benkei gets his head kicked off a few times, avoids the fourth head kick, runs the ropes, just like he did against KZ for his fifth spear. Very much mixed feelings on this match in particular, but it does put over Benkei as the prime candidate for Pac's Open the Dream Gate title, which I'm all for. So on to the final day, which is day 18 of King of Gate. Shun Skywalker defeats Takashi Yoshida in 4 minutes. Simple yet effective match, as this began by Shun calling out the big bruiser of RED. Shun does a sick handstand to a Kata roll type move pin. He wins. Red immediately hits the ring and beats the shit out of him. Benkei runs out for the save of his newfound brethren. Him and Pac have a big stare down before their title match coming up, which is this weekend, and it will have English commentary, to my understanding. It's the 20th anniversary of Dragon Gate, and Ultimo Dragon's come back. So, I recommend checking it out. Pac versus Benkei could be running for the match of your candidate. They have big standards to meet with that Pac KZ match for Dragon Gate. Alright, open the Brave Gate title match. This is their mid-card title. Susumu Yokosuka, however you pronounce it, defeats Jason Lee in 14 minutes 40 seconds. I quite like that time frame, or like just around that 15-minute mark. So I last watched Susumu defeat my boy UT, and now in his second defense taking on another young man, this one from China. First 5 to 8 minutes is mostly Susumu working the right ankle of Lee to take away his speed game, so good limb work there. There's a sick T-bone suplex from the top from Susumu, so Susumu's still a fantastic worker even at 40 years old. At 10 minutes, Lee is all of a sudden totally fine, ignoring the ankle work, and hits a massive flurry of moves to gain back control. Crowd firmly behind their veteran Susumu, which was kind of surprising to me, but I guess that goes to the whole Japan-China little rivalry they got there. Even after this flurry, Susumu picks the ankle to stop Lee. This is, of course, when Lee sells the limb work, only when conveniently not. It's very Seth Rollins-esque. Kind of doesn't make sense, but then again, whatever. Susumu then hits a top rope dominator that doesn't finish the match. That kind of upset me. Lee does a lot of these quick no-sell flurries again. Flash pin attempts that I'm not a fan of in wrestling, but it's still entertaining. I will say all this. It's still entertaining. One regular dominator later, Susumu retains. Strange match structure here, if I do say so. It didn't quite flow right with me. And our main event, the Open the Twin Gate title, our tag titles. It is Tribe Vanguard of Kai and Yamato, the champions, versus Maximum. That is the team of Kaito Ishida and Naruki Doi. So we got Yamato and Doi, our big vets here. This goes 21 minutes and 10 seconds to a no contest. And it does make sense, and I'll get into this. The Tribe Vanguard guys have a lot of charisma and get a lot of crowd reaction to their mannerisms. Very entertaining. Yamato was a star as usual in this match, doing all the little things that matter, from apologizing to the ref after doing heelish moves, to playing defense, not letting Doi into the ring. All good stuff here. Then these guys do crazy lucha tag rules to its fullest here, with guys rolling in and out of the ring and doing flash pin attempts from the New Legal Men. It's a very fun to watch style. But again, you have to be into Lucha Libre or that Young Buck style. Unfortunately, again, this is ruined by the fuckers from RAD. It gets so much heat, and I have to imagine this will be solved at their 20 Annie show. Red is the big heel group. They want those tag titles. They hate both these guys. They have beef with them. It goes along with the big faction warfare. So in Dragon Gate terms, I am okay with this. Would I have booked a no contest main event on your last day and your I guess go home show to your 20th anniversary? I don't know. Probably not. I probably would have done this on like night 14 or 15 and just had a three-way of some kind gearing up for the 20th anniversary show, but I digress. That was Dragon Gate. Very good catching up with it. I look forward to covering their anniversary show this weekend. All right. On to OTT. That's good whiskey. Good whiskey. OTT Wrestlerama 3 took place at the end of June, just now covering it because, well, 2 weeks have gone by. I am covering this whole thing, but I will go through it quicker as I do, and really commenting on the best match of the show, which I'll get to. No, I take that back. I'm skipping the undercard. Am I? No. Take that back. Tag team match: Jimmy Havoc versus Jimmy Havoc and Raven Creed defeat CT Flexor and Valkyrie in 11 minutes. Jimmy Havoc got a big pop. Not much else to say there. Singles match of Scotty Davis defeating Darby Allin of AEW in 10 minutes 43 seconds. Match was fine. I guess I just gave myself too high expectations here. Darby looked like he was going maybe 50-60% of what he normally does. It was just a safe, solid match, but not great. I will say it was fine enough, but Scotty Davis, I think he's being exposed for not having enough charisma and personality to it. I did watch via the OTT YouTube page an interview of him wanting to come after into the world title picture and calling out a certain somebody. And his delivery's not good. He needs to work on that. He's young, so he maybe needs to go to improv classes. Bandito and Ray Horus have a fucking awesome lucha match. Easily recommended. Ray Horus is having quite a good run as of late in this mid-card area in singles matches. They went 13 minutes, 54 seconds. Highly recommend. This was fantastic. If it was not during the G1, these guys probably would have made the top 15. Anyways. OTT gender neutral title match. So OTT is another proprietor of Intergender Wrestling, one of the few in Europe. Mark Haskins defeats Terry Thatcher by referee's decision in 22 minutes, 34 seconds. Emotional family man Terry Thatcher passes out to the Haskins sharpshooter, clearly letting his little girl down. There was a great video package of Terry Thatcher being all sad he lost the title, and he wants to do it for his beautiful baby little girl, and really got you to hate Mark Haskins afterwards. I personally love Mark Haskins. He could never like really do anything to make me hate him, so I just kind of laughed at Terry Thatcher. Anyways, it was a good 22 minute match. Probably a little on the long side, but hey, I'll take it. OTT World Title match. Jordan Devlin defeats Sean Maxer Guinness in 21 minutes, 48 seconds. Good backstory build of Maxer Guinness taking credit for Devlin's success and mental capacity. That's what was going on here. Without Guinness, Devlin would not have had the confidence to keep going in wrestling and beat Walter, so that goes into it. But an odd finish, as Devlin is gasping for air, somehow flips over and rolls up Guinness. This is the same complaint I have with the Elgin cage finish, where you don't have your title in a big match situation get saved by a roll-up. It doesn't do anything for anybody. It only makes your champion look weak, and unless your opponent like does something immediately that's credible or relevant, what was the point? Because let's say, so the guy who Scotty Davis called out is Guinness, saying he went away and he came back and he gets a title shot. So let's say Scotty Davis beats Guinness in the next match, right? What was the point of the roll-up? So Guinness barely beats Devlin. Davis beats Guinness. Is that is the idea supposed to get us to believe that because Guinness barely Devlin barely got out of Guinness, that Davis can now beat Devlin? Is that the idea they're going for? Because to me, to build a bigger match feel, Devlin beats Guinness, right? Scotty Davis calls out Guinness, and he just becomes the contender, and then he pins Devlin in a tag match down the line. That's what I would do. To me, that would gain more credibility. Or Davis doesn't call out just one guy, he calls out two, right? Calls out Bandito or Rey Horus or Thatcher, who just lost the neutral title via not tapping out kind of deal. You know, a tough guy. Two tough guys. That's my thinking. I think I know what they're going for. I get their thinking about it, but it just doesn't make Devlin himself look strong. It just makes him look weaker. You're bringing him down as opposed to bringing other guys up. Maybe that's their long-term story. And for the match of the night, and one of the fucking matches of the year, is, of course, Walter versus David Starr. Walter defeats David Starr by referee's decision at 27 minutes, 18 seconds. Now, this is entertainment with good wrestling with it. This is what people in the Western wrestling world want. This feud, this type of match. Starr works both legs in this bout after psyching himself up, going out to the ring a few times. Good character work. Keyword, character work. Keywords. Crowd hates David Starr so much they cheer Walter and constantly berate Starr with taunts from the moment he walks out, saying 26. They're reciting Walter's symphony theme music. You'll never beat Walter emanates throughout the crowd, adds to the match's emotional level. So the crowd is into this as well. Starr is a star in this match, to say the least, with psychology and facial expressions, and I'm not discounting Walter in the slightest because he sells the legwork more than any other wrestler has any right doing, and he's a big man. So he's the best that's doing it in the business today. Walter's one of the best sellers. One of the best. You can't tell me otherwise. There is no reason why he even needs to do these things, but he does them anyways, and it only adds. So, Starr, in frustration and a little crazy, sees the NXT UK title at a point in the match. And Walter's the UK champion. Starr grabs it. He calls Walter a sellout in the middle of the ring. Everyone can hear. Ooh. He stomps on the title in front of him, sending Walter into a rage. He slaps the shit out of Starr, power bombs him, throws him outside the ring, jackknife power bombs him into the audience through many a chair. Just awesome stuff. There's a heavy back and forth. When they do eventually get back in the ring, Starr attacks Walter's legs with the title now. The ring psychology comes full circle. Walter fake taps out in a figure 4. Starr thinks he's won. Holy shit, what's going on here? How are they so good at telling this story? Walter shotgun drop kicks the ref down of all things because he just got in the way. Shit happens. Much better than the comical ref bump in the Dragon Gate match. But Starr can't even get a crowd 3 count. So, you know when a person gets knocked down and the ref's down and all the crowd goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's how many times they beat them over? Walter kicks out at 3 to a crowd count. Something I can't say I've ever seen before. Commentary is just going insane during all this. They nail the story elements. Starr goes legit insane. At least he's looking like it. He's fuming. He's foaming at the mouth. He grabs the title again, but the ref is getting up. He pulls an Eddie Guerrero and throws the title at Walter. David Starr will do anything to try and beat Walter at this point. Walter does get disqualified. The crowd explodes. But wait. There's more. Jordan Devlin comes out to the ring. Because as the story goes, Devlin says, I beat Walter. You haven't. As far as I'm concerned, the path to me goes through him. Devlin's not going to have David Starr get to him that easily. He comes out to explain to the ref that none of this happened. Reverse the decision. And commentary's putting the story over that this is about the contract workers with WWE to the independent stars. That the ref is taking favoritism to the contract guys. Good storytelling. The ref restarts the match. Starr is furious, as he should be. He gets caught after diving onto Devlin, because Devlin's now out of the match. Starr gets fucking choked out. 0-26. Just amazing. I felt like I just read a book to everybody here on air. Oh, so good. If you are sleeping on this feud in 2019, the trifecta of Walter, David Starr, and Jordan Devlin, and how it's culminating through multiple promotions, this is the best story in wrestling going on this year. It's so good, and it's all carrying over from last year, as stories should. Oh, please go check out OTT. Start with the Devlin to Walter path. All you have to do is know a little bit of the Starr-Walter fact that Starr's never beaten Walter. This is going... Keep in mind that Walter's also the Progress champion. and Starr won Super Strong Style 16, so he's in contention for the belt. And then Walter's home promotion is in Germany, which David Starr in New York quit out of frustration because Walter refused to fight him. Oh, brilliant stuff. Okay. Whew. I felt like I just had sex and I need a cigarette, but since I don't smoke, I need more whiskey. My God. Okay. I gotta play a drop. Talk some New Japan. Fuck. So much wrestling. Whoa! So elevated. Unfortunately, the owner of the rights, the label, is not allowing Will Ospreay to use that music anymore. It's like I have a curse. I make a drop of one of my favorite wrestlers' entrance musics. First it was Hana Kimura with You Blocked Me on Facebook. Now it's elevated with Will Ospreay. And immediately they changed their entrance music because of whatever reason. It sucks, but I will continue using it here on the Red Leaf Retrocast. At BowlingJD on Twitter. Go hit us up, leave a 5-star review. Now it's time to talk the G1, nights 1 through 4. I know 2 nights have passed now, and I gotta catch up, but that's what the weekend's for. New Japan Pro Wrestling, The Great One Tournament, Night 1. Night 1 was in Dallas. Didn't sell so well, but sold well enough. They made a little bit of profit. Probably should have did more, etc., etc. But let's start with the block matches. I will say the Ishii Jeff Cobb scrap was fucking awesome, and it really got me hyped for their match, and it only made it better. But anyways, I digress. Block A, Match Day 1. Lance Archer, hometown boy, defeats Will Ospreay in 18 minutes, 16 seconds, arguably the second best match of the tournament through the first 4 days. Everybody dies, as they say, as Lance Archer says. Lance Archer has a new look. He looks like a character straight out of the anime Fist of the North Star. If you don't know what I mean, go look it up. You will exactly see it. He even liked my tweet when I mentioned such things. Also, a pretty fresh moveset to go along with it. So at 40 years old, Lance Archer can expand his game and expand his character, and yet people who have been in the industry 5-6 years can't. Bullshit. What is this? Lance Archer has shocked me with his new persona and his new moves. It starts out hot and heavy, including a spur from Ospreay, halted by a chokeslam on the outside. It was at first hinted at the apron, and then turns around over the guardrail through a table. Archer just gets the entire crowd on his side, and doing that over a face Will Ospreay character is a holy shit moment. This was better than their New Japan Cup match. I fucking adored this. The character work was on point. The match was smooth. It was a great introduction of Will Ospreay into the heavyweight division for the G1. Lance Archer's new character and the hometown man gets the win with the Iron Claw pin. So he breaks out he hinted at the Iron Claw at the beginning of the match in Dallas, the Von Erich tribute thing. He's brought back the Iron Claw, and I love the fact that it's not a submission move, but it's a way to finish the opponent pinning their shoulders to the mat. I think it's a good innovation on it in 2019. It makes it much more believable. I love it. It's fucking over with me. Keep doing it, Lance Archer. Bad Luck Fale defeats Evil in a 11-minute match that was harmless. Fine. Sonata defeats Zack Sabre Jr. in 21 minutes, 12 seconds, and it's an ungodly reversal technical match of awesome. It's just reversal after reversal after reversal of your reversal into a pin, but yet that was reversed, and then it was a pin. Zack Sabre Jr. has a meltdown, and awesome. I really want Sonata to develop a personality. He needs one, guys. He will never have that singles title without charisma. He's so good in the ring. Anyways. Great match. I loved it. It was my favorite match of night one. Kenta defeats Kota Ibushi in Kenta's first match in New Japan. 20 minutes, 51 seconds. So, it reached that 20-minute magic mark. They kicked and stiffed the shit out of each other. Kenta killed him. It will clearly take a bit more time for Kenta to become Kenta again, and you can tell that because he's not a New Japan guy, and he's been out of the Japan scene for like 5 years now, that it's going to take a little while for the fans to get behind him too. I was really happy to see this guy back. I saw a flash of it with the Marufuji match with the Noah anniversary show, or no, it was the Marufuji 20th anniversary show. Saw a flash, and he looked much more like Kenta here. He looked incredibly dominant due to taking 80% of the match from the offense side and winning. He did hit a pretty gross-looking GTS because it hit Ibushi's arm, but hey, I don't mind. I'm suspending my disbelief. It's wrestling to begin with, whatever. Did look pretty shitty, though. But yeah, you could hear it echo on video. At least I could. And then we had our main event, Okada and Tanahashi, 22 minutes, 4 seconds. These two are incapable of having a bad match. Even despite Tana's age and wear and tear, and visibly much slower in 2019 right now, this was still a top-level type match. Plus, the crowd adored what they were seeing. They just couldn't believe that they were seeing Okada versus Tanahashi. The two guys that have, in their eyes, been New Japan, right? And I think this is Okada's first clean win over Tana at all, especially in the G1, considering they usually either go to a draw or Tana wins. So this was very defining for Okada. Good stuff. On to day 2. Do I have even day 3? Oh boy. I don't even have day 4 up. Let me get that up right quick. Alright, cage match. Help me out here. I can't be looking at day 5 and 6. I need to watch those after the podcast. More wrestling. Hooray! Alright, G1 Climax, day 4. There we go. Cool. Alright, day 2. Juice versus Shingo. Juice defeats Shingo, actually. This was exactly how you would imagine this match going. Sweat flying, hard running the ropes, and plenty of hard reversals via lariats. When they showed a video package of the slow motion, and they're just knocking sweat off you guys. Juice really showed up here. You could tell he wanted to go all out in his third G1, now healthy for the first time. And Shingo's a wrestling god. We all know this. He never ceases to amaze me in how he flows and adjusts to any and all styles. Juice picks up the win with 2 hard left hands, aka the Hand of God. Hits Pulp Friction, barely pinning Shingo. Let's just say Shingo didn't have any of his body on top of Juice, so it was totally okay. So both Shingo and Ospreay lost their openers to very motivated American wrestlers. Now we see whom will do better. Taichi, our wrestling universal god, versus Jon Moxley, the formerly known Dean Ambrose, the shitty one. They fight outside right at the start, so no Taichi leaving the ring antics. I love this start. This is where Taichi is much better. Great moment after Mox put Taichi easily through the table. Miho runs over to her man, extremely worried and upset. She looks back at Mox, and he's given the middle finger. Oh, good moment. Post it on Twitter, @BowlingJD. Ref bump, Miho gives Taichi a chair. Mox reverses it, throws the chair into him, reversals. Huge Death Rider DDT. Gets the win. Crowd just loving all of this since the start of the Juice match and stayed hot here. Great environment. Naito loses to Yano. As one could assume, this was filled with antics from the start to end. Yano annoyed at Naito stalling due to his sick, awesome white suit. And Yano even puts on a shirt for him for the match himself to kind of make fun of Naito. They go through Yano's usual antics. Naito even puts the front of Yano's shirt over his face as a joke. And this is the beginning of the end for Naito. Yano does the same thing to the ref. Low blows Naito, puts the shirt over his face, spears the back of Naito, and gets a roll-up victory. Fuck, man, Yano wins. Naito's cocky and too tranquilo for his own good. That was the story I took. And now we got Jeff Cobb versus Ishii. Ishii wins. How long did this match go? I didn't write that down. Probably should have. Night 2. Here we go. Jeff Cobb and Ishii went 18 minutes, 33 seconds. So not quite as long as I thought. I thought it hit the 20-minute mark. But just shows how much I love this match. These two have a hoss fight to a level I haven't seen in quite some time. Never thought I would say that, really, especially Ishii, considering how masterfully executed he did his no-sells and the timing of it. Be it the long forearm exchange to Ishii leaning into the forearms, backing Cobb into the corner. Everything was enticing and engaging. If you picture these two having a match, you got exactly that and more. Both executing superplexes of their own style into... and more suplexes just made even the most simple moves look important and devastating. It was fan-fucking-tastic. There's no denying, even with me, I have, you know what? Let's say, 16 months ago, Ishii, I had really never been a fan. It's really taken me a while to get over this whole warrior spirit thing, no matter how long I've watched New Japan. There are certain circumstances where it does work for me, and I feel over the last year and a half that Ishii has been executing this against better opponents that more fit his style, and he's adjusting to their styles. So when I saw Ishii against Keith Lee last year, in the Rev Pro show, it just felt like they were just kicking out of each other's finishers and no-selling it, in which I'm not a fan of. Not so much right now, and what it has been with Ishii. So I just want to make that clear. It's definitely a case of I really came around on him. Jay White versus Goto, a very solid back-and-forth match. More story-oriented. I don't think it was as good as their one from earlier this year, where it felt like there was a kind of number one contender spot to it on the line. Both guys here have leaned out and look fantastic, especially Goto, who trained with Shibata in the LA dojo for a few weeks. They reversed, had a little too many sequences of reversing each other's finishers for what I feel like the story was telling. Goto wins with the GTR after a hard-fought match, and Jay White was an awesome, cocky dick heel the whole time. So if Jay White would have won this match, it would have just hurt Goto a lot with how Jay White was. So enjoyable, but not one of my favorite performances. I could have sworn Cobb and Ishii were going to be the main event, but I definitely see Goto and White being the bigger duo players. G1 Night 3 Block A. Lance Archer versus Bad Luck Fale. A real good fight. Lance Archer wins, by the way. A real good fight and a big boy fight. A big boy fight. There we go. That was my notes. Jado got involved, but had very minimal effect, further emphasizing the new badass Fist of the North Star character of Archer. They bodied each other a lot, while the fire from Archer matches his new red hair. Chokeslam into the Iron Claw pin. Loving this new Archer. This match was way better than it had any right to be. Ospreay defeats Sonata, whom looks like a blonde pirate now, getting his first G1 victory. Lots of speed in chain wrestling, reversals of each other's finishers, and signature moves. Ospreay even does flips out of basically all of Sonata's moves at least once. Ospreay even hit a shooting star almost halfway across the ring, which is awe-inspiring. Hits an Oz Cutter, holds on to it for the Stormbreaker for the win. Very smooth match. Just out of this universe, what you can expect. Second favorite match? Third? Okada defeats Zack Sabre Jr., and it was pretty slow at the start with lots of limb work. Slower than usual for ZSJ, but it led into the entire finish of the match, so everything makes sense, as does Zack Sabre Jr. matches do. Zack attacks the left arm in many various submissions and reversals of Okada's moveset into other submissions, plus kicking repeatedly into said arm, so he was very focused. The two near falls after the Okada dropkick Zack hit were incredible. It just lit everyone in the audience up. It really led me to believe these two falls were going to get Okada, especially since I've seen him do it in the UK, but I guess that's the key word there. It's not in Japan. Alas, the Rainmaker prevailed. Evil versus Ibushi. This match didn't do much for me. Ibushi injured his left ankle pretty bad in the Kenta match, so Evil attacks this as he should in terms of kayfabe. A more methodical type match, not what I was expecting or wanting. Evil kicks out of two Bumayes. Ibushi kicks out of the big lariat. Darkness falls, but then Evil hits the big STO. Everything is Evil and wins. Ibushi drops to 0-2, which is interesting. Must note that over the last 9 months, Evil has improved quite a lot in his single performances, so I do like this. Culmination point was definitely after the Jericho match. So, let me drink some more whiskey. Oh, Tanahashi versus Kenta. Oh, boy. How long were you? Really bad with my notes here. Day 3. Come on, day 3. Tanahashi versus Kenta was 18 minutes and 35 seconds. So, again, matches seem to be going lower than I expect them to be. But anyways, commentary really hitting home the lineage of both these guys. Kenta with his Noah Kobashi to Baba roots, while Tana is on the other side of the spectrum with the whole New Japan Pro Wrestling Fujinami to Inoki side. So definitely a Tale of Two Cities type situation. Sets a good precedent and setting. Tana is much slower this year than last year, as I said before, but everything he does still just works so well, despite the speed missing. Tana reverses and hits a move on Kenta, goes for the air guitar taunt, and this is what I love. Kenta just boots him in the back of the head. Not fucking around. Just like, oh, yes. Love it. This set the tone for the rest of the match. They go outside, fight for a bit. Quite like it. Not pulling a Dragon Gate. There is more than just a hard cam. Match goes to 15 minutes very fast. And that's when Kenta goes for a GTS. And there's something about reversing a finisher into a signature move that's so effective. And Tana does this effectively, especially well. He does it with it. He just goes from the GTS to the twist and shout like it's normal, right? Kenta barely gets his knees up to counter an eventual high fly flow. The midsection he's been kicking the shit out of all match. So, working the chest. Chest takes a big bump. Kenta uses some key Shibata movesets, which got over very well with the crowd, including rear naked choke to a couple of hard penalty kick shots, or Elfmeter for our European fans. Leads into the GTS, and Kenta is 2-0. Now, Ibushi and Tanahashi are 0-2. Even more interesting. I've seen some criticism that you shouldn't book your former champions like this. But everything in New Japan, especially Geto's booking, has a purpose to it. And the whole point of the G1 and its history, and I've wanted to watch some of the more earlier G1s to see kind of how it went down. And the whole point of the G1 is anybody can lose at any sort of time because of how grueling this tournament is. So, Kenta goes for a post-match handshake, and Tanahashi, of all people, blows him off. Ooh. Still not getting that respect. Remember, it took 12 years for Tanahashi to shake Okada's hand? That's good stuff there. Alright. Finally, G1 Climax, Day 4. Juice Robinson defeats Hiroki Goto in 12 minutes. I didn't think much of this, but Juice Robinson still's got lots of fire. Moxley and Cobb only went 9 minutes, technically 8:54. Really put sour grapes in my mouth. I thought this match should have been much better, or at least much longer. Very disappointing after Jeff Cobb just put in probably the best match of his entire career against Ishii the first time. Ishii defeats Jay White in a match that was very good. I don't think it was better than the Jeff Cobb match, but how methodical Jay White is and his reversing and how smooth he works in the ring, this 19-minute affair worked quite a lot. And then we got our main event, which was pretty shit. It was a 21-minute Taichi versus Naito match. Broken Naito against back to regular antics Taichi. Didn't like it. They hit just their moves. This was not one of the better Taichi matches. This was not a good Naito match. So now Naito is 0-2 in his block. So we got ZSJ. We got Naito, Ibushi, and Tanahashi, all with no wins at this point. So we have Juice, Moxley, Ishii, Okada, and Kenta as the undefeated guys, if I have kept track well enough there. So day 4 is very forgettable for me. That's probably why I didn't have any notes written down. I didn't bother. Alright. Where am I? Oh my god, I still have one more show. Okay. 2 more shows, technically. Christ. Well, Ibushi's got this ankle injury. I mean, if they're gonna book things to go the way I think they're going to go, is start out slow, come from behind, everyone pulls it off in the end, Naito Ibushi meets, I hope it's Jay White Ibushi, personally, but anyways. But Jay White's also at 0. Did I mention that? I probably did. Anyways. Moving on. My god. Alright, what did I write? What did I put this under? Oh my god. What am I doing? There it is.
The one-winged angel screams. It fuels my hopes and dreams. The best
Yeah, Kenny Omega's music. Hey. AEW Fight for the Fallen. Right away, just an awesome fucking venue. Daly's Place in Jacksonville is, I want this to be an annual event. Probably not in July. You know, a little less humidity and heat to go along. But yeah, you're in Florida, you're always going to get the humidity. But anyways, not in July. Don't do this in July. Don't do it in August either. You know, April, May, maybe even in the fall, much better time. So, I will say this pre-show, as we call it. I think I've gotten over the fact that they're trying to sell people on their main show. What I think they're going on, and I've read some, not dirt sheets, but like Pro Wrestling Torch and Voices of Wrestling, apparently that these guys at AEW don't see wrestling as this archaic mechanic. Like, your pre-show is supposed to be to sell guys on the main show. This is, or, it's a kickoff show. It's just part of the show that you work up to like anything else. So, when I thought about that, I'm like, okay, so what if, take the G1 Supercard, where you had the few matches that seem to be have less story and less focus, and they were meant to introduce people rather than like keep them off a card. That's what this is. So when I look at it that way, I go, okay, maybe I just need to change my mindset, get out of this whole wrestling should be this way kind of attitude. And I think I'm pretty sure that's what they're going for now. Because we got our, thank God we didn't get a big librarian promo like last time where it just kills the audience. Peter Avalon comes out with manager Leva Bates, who's also the librarian. They shush the crowd, they get heavy boos. Sonny Kiss's music hits, coming out with the Jacksonville Jaguars cheerleaders. So no long drawn-out librarian promo, lots of boos and hate. Sonny Kiss showed off lots of athleticism with Avalon, while Avalon got to show good character work. Dare I say, good heat? And a good pre-match type? I think I might. I'm very torn still. Nonetheless, I did like it. Oh! Britt Baker women tag match on the pre-show. I see. A great way to showcase the women's division to a new audience. Oh, this is how you do it. They need a way to introduce more of the women division, and this is a great stepping stone. So, the Stardom and Tokyo Joshi Pro champs are a tag team versus Riho, the Super Asian champ, and Britt Baker. Very interesting, I will say, because it's Bea Priestley and Shoko Nakajima versus Riho and Britt Baker. Riho is, I believe, the only woman to be featured on all three shows right now. So a nice showcase of the Joshi wrestlers and building character of Shoko Nakajima. Nice build in the match to the face-off of Priestley and Baker. Little goof in the match when Baker went to tag the wrong partner. She apparently took a stiff shot of that shot to the head that clocked her a bit. So Priestley, got her with the stiff Joshi strong style. Shit happens kind of deal. It was still funny as hell, but hope she's okay. I think I read somewhere that it's worse than they expect. I hope that's not the case. Anyways, Priestley got a great reaction from the crowd immediately, which is very nice. And holy shit, what a match! I thought it was going to go to the 20-minute time limit. It did not. As soon as they announced the 15, it ended shortly after that at 16:38. But yeah, shock with Riho eating the pin to the little kaiju Shoko. Post-match in the ring, Baker and Priestley scrap it up, hyping up for that in the future. Really cool stuff. Told more of a story. The people loved it. Awesome. Strong promo by Kip Sabian. Makes sense, saying that he will beat Page, and then when he wins the title later, he'll be first in line. Fine with me. Opening match on the main show. I will say BR Live has given me no problems 2 shows in a row. So as long as these pay-per-views that they're putting out are affordable on BR Live, I won't have to use a VPN to get on Fight TV for a cheaper price. But yeah, I don't mind BR Live at all. I like it. I haven't had any issues with any of it so far. No, I take that back. When the pre-show was happening at Fyter Fest, I had a black screen for about 15 minutes. So, 6-man tag starts the show officially. We have the team. We have the heel dicks of MJF, Guevara, and Spears versus Team Hardcore or Team Deathmatch of Havoc, Darby Allin, and Joey Janela. Joey Janela is having this habit of saying like "fuck Cornette" and random shit during his match. He's North or South Jersey douchebag persona. Anyways, everybody was over in their own way in this match. Got to highlight their stuff. Darby's ribs were taped up still. Nice touch. Considering he's selling his coffin drop debacle from Fyter Fest. Meanwhile, on the other show, guys can explode through a stage and be totally fine the next day, and internal organ injuries are healed in 2 weeks. Spears gets the pin on the injured Darby. Looked like MJF was going to attack Spears from behind, but kind of backed off when he got caught. Lots of seeds were planted here. Spears pins the guy that Cody couldn't at Fyter Fest. So, there you go. Nice commentary, storytelling, and flow this time around. JR still catching his feet, but Excalibur is on point. Marvez was way better. So, it's still not up to par, but it's getting better. Video package promo taken from YouTube and social media channels is a very needed touch. I really like this. It really hyped up the Brandy kind of, I put too much pressure on myself, I'm going to do everything to win situation. Versus Allie. And Allie's just thinking, you're a choke artist. I've never been that way. You know, it's tough for you, but whatever. Awesome Kong comes out ringside for Brandy. So now we have muscle with the executive. Brandy is a bit rough in the ring, but I think she more than makes up with it for her character work. Maybe training the Joshi style more could help, for sure. Kong was killing it on the outside, just standing there with the body language and facial expressions. I adored it. Allie hits her signature moves. Kong pulls Brandy free and distracts the ref later. After hitting her Lex Luger bionic move, the spear, beatdown of Allie is stopped by Aja fucking Kong, waltzing to the ring, sizes up against Awesome Kong. Dear fuck. Like, hold on, I need the drink. Oh. Now, it was a very entertainment-style match. They did what they were capable of. I'm much for this Alliance, Brandy, Awesome Kong combo. What I don't like is Brandy kind of breaking... She has this, like, character. She's the executive... It's like Stephanie McMahon in a lot of ways, but she actually wrestles. Where, when it's the executive side, she's all business. It's all fine. And then when she gets in the ring, because of her past, she's putting too much pressure on herself, so to make up for it, she will do anything at all costs. But as soon as that's over, it's all well and good. And I even watched a little promo where she goes, well, I won my match. That's what matters at the end of the day. So, face executive, heel wrestler? You know, this heel babyface thing is very unique in AEW. They have a very much... because people are allowed to have characters and flaws in their character, I'm very much for it. I'm trying to work with them rather than against them. It's a new promotion. I'm all for it. The camera angles for the show still has torques and tweaks to work out. The wrestlers have no idea where a hard cam is because, well, 90% of them have never needed to do that. So it I don't know. I kind of like it because of how much non-WWE I watch. Where it feels like a sporting event rather than someone presenting themselves for a camera on a stage play. So I do see the benefit to all this. Dark Order versus Angelico and Evans combo versus Jungle Boy Luchasaurus with fucking Marco Stunt ringside. So this is a triple threat tag match to earn yourself to face the best friends, and if you win that match, you get a bye in the first round of their tournament. So the negative is if you lose the bye entry match, you've wrestled an extra match for nothing, right? But you're still in the tournament. From a sports guy myself, I see that they're kind of overcomplicating it. To me, my first understanding was, oh, it's a triple threat tag match. Whoever wins this gets the bye. Very simple, right? But they added an extra step to it, which kind of makes it a little bit more confusing. So that bears the question now, who would get that second bye spot? And how are they going to do that? I wonder if that's going to be the winner of the Young Bucks Lucha Bros match. Could be. But anyways, I digress. There is too much shit in this match to even begin talking about it. Just amazing character work all around. Jungle Boy legit kicked out of everything from everyone until the fatality. There's a story in that sentence. Dark Order, the Evil Canadians win after a good one. I just wish the crowd would get behind the Dark Order more. I thought they were presented pretty well. The issue is no one knows who they are. I know who they are, and I know how good they are. And I see the character work they're doing. The crowd just isn't with it. Oh, it sucks so much. It really sucks when you're so behind a gimmick and a team, and no one else is. This is a great example of that. I implore everyone to just embrace the Dark Order. Embrace the Evil Canadians. Alright, moving on. So, there's a nice video package build for Kip Sabian and Hangman Adam Page. Quick flying and chain wrestling pace to start out as the humidity and heat affected them and the pace slowed. They started working slow and working big spots into big spots. I really like this pace. It matched the environment. Powerbomb from the ring to the ramp was a huge moment in this match. Almost goes to the 20-minute time limit. Page hits the Deadeye with 57 seconds left. It's just really odd that the number one contender barely beats a guy like Kip Sabian in his prelude match. I don't think this was the time to place to do this, unless the long-term plan is to make Kip Sabian into a major player. I just don't get that feeling from a guy like Kip Sabian. Jericho came out disguised as a Dark Order minion, attacks Page post-match. Is this possibly a seed of an evil Canadian faction? I hope so. There was a really funny moment in the Sabian-Page match where a front row fan was giving Sabian the business, and Kip kisses the guy to shut him up, and he was down for the rest of the show. It was quite good. Loved it. Lucha Bros defeat SCU. They slap the shit out of Daniels, echoing throughout the arena at one point. Daniels retaliates, and then the ref kicks him out. I like this idea that AEW is going for kind of the Japan way of doing things, where the DQs are just kind of up to referee discretion, so they don't do the DQs like much at all, right? I'm very much for this. Lots of tag team move exchanges. Post-match, Lucha Bros take out a ladder, take out SCU, then they challenge the Young Bucks at All Out via ladder match, presumably for the AAA titles as well. Omega defeats Shima in 22 minutes, 33 seconds. A beautiful number. Match of the year candidate. It reached the beauty point of the 20-minute plus match. G1 caliber. I am telling you. There was excellent pace throughout and work. You'd never guess that they've never wrestled each other before. Omega worked the left knee of Shima consistently. Shima used a lot of Meteoras like he was hitting the spam button in a fighting game, right up until it finally gave out as he was trying to run the ropes, as he had an advantage. This led into a few V-triggers, one wing angel. Finish. The huge moment of the match was the first story bleacher jump from Shima Meteora onto a downed Omega on the timekeeper's table. Brilliant stuff. I adored this match. It's my second favorite match from AEW next to the Rhodes match. Omega needed this huge singles win. They built Shima up very well as a legit contender. I mean, he's a legend of Dragon Gate. Very good stuff. I recommend people to seek this one out. Jericho cuts a wrestling classic heel promo, putting over the Hangman. I have to beat the Hangman. I must beat the Hangman. If I don't beat the Hangman, is that the end of Jericho? He does heel work, Jerksonville, Jacksoffville, promoting the match at All Out at the same time. All good stuff. Page storms out for a scuffle, but no promo, which I think was desperately needed to hype him up, especially after that long match he heard he had with Kip Sabian, and the beating he took afterwards. The promo needed to be right here and there. I did watch Nightmare Family and Being the Elite, where he did cut the promo about he wants the cut to not heal, he wants to bleed every day, so then come October 1st when he's champion, he can be happy when he looks at himself in the mirror. If they show that particular promo before their match at All Out, I'm more inclined to forgive them, but I'm still right now in the opinion Paige needed a promo right here and there. The main event went 31 minutes and 25 seconds of the Young Bucks versus the Rhodes Brothers. The Bucks all of a sudden have become better isolation heels than the Revival. I love the fact that this wasn't a Dragon Gate style tag match. This was a traditional tag match that evolved into the Tornado rules that we're more familiar with in the 2019 era. There was fun heel joking tactics at the beginning, good character work from the Bucks. Dustin did a fucking top rope crossbody. He was on top of things. He just has an amazing sense of timing. I guess that comes with 30 years experience, but who knows? But yeah, it was more traditional. The only fault was the crowd was very tired and dead at this point because of the heat and humidity. That's the only fault I can really think of. There was going to be a post-match promo, but time was cut short, so they had to present the check to charity. And at the end of the day, that's what the show's for. It was for the charity. So there you go. And with that, I really liked what AEW has done in their first 3 shows. I'm all for it. So let's live with that, guys. Okay. Here we go. Oh my god. Oh, no. Something, you know what? Oh, yes. Canadian whiskey. I need you now more than ever. Ooh. I had to top it off. I had to top off my own glass that I just filled. Because now I am talking WCW Bash at the Beach, 1998. Oh no. Okay. So we've just seen Goldberg win the WCW title on Nitro less than a week prior. With no build, mind you. Just an announcement on Thunder. He's defending the title. And he wins the title, whatever. So we begin with the hype for the celebrity match and introducing everyone and showing off the amazing beach set with the entire stage area looking like a San Diego beach with sand, a pyramid castle, lifeguard station, and more. I'm a big fan of these unique venues and stage setups. It's one thing WCW excelled at. They were so good at this. Now, that pretty much ends my positivity for the entire show. This was a goddamn travesty of a wrestling show. Things I did like going in, I hated coming out. Things I was invested in going in, now I'm confused going out. Things that I was told was going to be on the show is no longer on the show. Unbelievable. I could not believe my eyes watching this. I watched this as a kid. Every year I watched Bash at the Beach. Every year. Whether it was with friends or I begged my parents to buy the pay-per-view for the fucking whatever amount of money it was back in 1998. Probably $50. Or was that Starcast only? Starcade. Jesus. Anyways, I had to take the nostalgia glasses off. And it wasn't hard, because as soon as I started watching this, I go, this is a wrestling show? No. So here we go. First match is under Raven's rules as Saturn versus Raven. No Canyon for reasons I cannot explain. More importantly, though, Lodi is opening the event looking very festive, supporting his leader. But yes, even though Kanyon has been an integral part of this feud, and just on the go-home show on Nitro, what was supposed to be his grudge match with Raven was cut short by Saturn. So what the fuck? So they have a good match until the ref bump, because it's WCW. Nick Patrick sells this corner kick like he just had been electrocuted with 5,000 volts. He's slow to go down. He's convulsing, holding the ropes, arm out, fully extended. Then he falls, then his body falls on the mat, shaking with his tongue out. Mwah! Excellent performance, Nick Patrick. 5 stars. Saturn beats down Raven, including a cool stair-step bulldog. Sets up Raven on a table, then puts a table on top of him. So Raven is in between the two tables. One of Lodi's signs is on the top that says Beach Flock. Important note, of course. So Saturn goes to the top turnbuckle. And who but Kanyon runs down to pull Raven out from the table as Saturn is climbing. Not as Saturn is jumping, as Saturn is climbing the turnbuckle. 1 second goes by. 2 seconds goes by. And this is after Raven is already pulled away. Saturn says, he just fucking jumps. And he misses the top table, barely clipping it. He falls onto the floor with the top table falling on top of him, as does Lodi's sign. Nice little touch of his failure. Meanwhile, Kanyon, for some reason, holds up Raven's arm in victory, and then gives him a flatliner on a chair that's in the middle of the ring. Again, what the fuck? Do it after. Saturn is rolled into the ring by Riggs. Lodi puts Raven on top of Saturn, but no, this isn't the finish. That would have made, I guess, sense. Saturn kicks out, and then both Raven's flock guys immediately get back up and wrestle for another 2 minutes, exchanging moves. Saturn fights off Lodi and Riggs. He gets even flow DDT, and then he loses. Why? Why was all that even necessary? Some crowd boos, most have no reaction. A shit ending. Honestly, still have no idea why this just wasn't a 3-way. Fuck. This is your opening match of the Bash of the Beach. It set the precedent. I need a drink just going over that. I love the character of Kanyon. I love Raven. I'm even coming around on Saturn because he's a pretty decent worker in the ring. I just don't like him, right? But this feud I was all behind. And they've shit on this. With the 2 Mortises, the overbooking, and now this. I did at least get the Saturn fail, so... Alright. Gotta take a drink after that. Fuck. Eddie Guerrero and Mean Gene out for a hair versus hair promo. Pretty standard stuff. But then Chavo accepted a match with Stevie Ray before their match. So now I'm confused, and this is overbooked. Apparently this happened on Thunder. Why? Why is this necessary? Why is a singles match with Stevie Ray needed? I don't get it. Second match is Kidman with Lodi, so we have the honor of a double dose of Lodi. So, Bash of the Beach, more Lodi. Okay, I can deal. His sign here says Kidman TCB Tour 98. I don't know what that means. Well, Kidman is versus local, quote-unquote, Juventud Guerrera. So the match was good as long as you discount the obvious annoyances, such as Schiavone assuming it is also under Raven's rules because after a couple minutes, Lodi randomly gets involved in this match, but no DQ. Later, Kidman hits Juvi on the top rope with a low blow, again, in front of the ref. Lodi never again gets involved in this match from there. So the match was entertaining, and Juvi avoids Kidman's shooting star, and then hits his 450 for the win. Kidman also changed his look up to look more cleaner, so now his character's gone. as opposed to his more extreme grunge look. I don't know why, and it makes no sense. Stop calling me, people. Fuck. Doing a podcast here. God damn. I have 4 fucking missed calls on this podcast. Jesus Christ. And now my phone's frozen. Oh my god. Okay. Doing fucking wrestling podcasts. People want to talk to me. I'm drinking whiskey. I'm gonna order a pizza after this and watch the G1. And then probably finish Progress Chapter 92. Little highlight there. Voicemails now. I bet it's spam. It has to be spam. Okay. Back to this. Where was I? Oh, yeah. A small plug for WCWWrestling.com with Conan rambling. So there you go. It doesn't work anymore. I've tried. Quote from Tony Schiavone. You can hear all that exciting action on the internet. I think I want to make a drop for my podcast and just put that out there. Red Leaf Retrocast. You can hear all that exciting action on the internet. Alright, here we go. Stevie Ray versus Chavo Guerrero. So, I guess they had to have that promo at the beginning of the show because no one watches Thunder. I'm pretty sure I stopped watching Thunder as a kid at this point. So, that put Thunder at 6 months time frame from when I stopped watching. Stevie Ray versus Chavo Guerrero as Chavo comes out wearing a tiger inner tube and a super soaker. So he's pulling his inner Jungle Kiona back in 1998. Very funny, at least. So Chavo does some antics with Stevie Ray, but big old Stevie isn't having it. Chavo wants to shake his hand. They shake hands. Chavo immediately submits to Stevie's devastating handshake. My reaction was, what the fuck? The explanation is Chavo goes, "Aw, man, guess it's time for a match now, Eddie." Stevie Ray, the guy that was bitching to Booker T for weeks about being tough and taking names and going to the streets and all that, just walks away from this match like a bitch himself. Fuck. This is what WWE is today. It's this shit. Where it's overbooked, overthought nonsense. Anyways. So Chavo and Eddie then just have an okay match. Too much comedy, Chavo antics at the start. Both go for a pair of scissors at one point. When Chavo does... when Chavo gets the scissors, so they're both, like, gonna get DQ'd, and then have to have their hair cut, so it makes no sense right there. Eddie gives Chavo a small package and wins. So, there's some rigmarole of Chavo doing whatever the fuck it was. He's all flabbergasted he's lost this match, and he's like, well, I gotta cut Eddie's hair now. It's not how it works. So, he's trying to be crazy, but it's dumb. What kind of saves this is Chavo starts to shave his own hair, and Eddie kind of reacts, but the crowd has zero reaction. They've died at this point. So, this is all after commentary, all match, puts over how hair versus hair is so important and cultural in Mexico. So this was all bizarre. This was basically burying a culture. Next, we have Alex Wright and Disco Inferno cutting a promo. So if you didn't watch Thunder, you had no idea that Stevie Ray Chavo was an added stipulation to the hair versus hair match, which was hotshot booked to begin with. Now we have a makeshift match of Alex Wright and Disco Inferno, and they each cut the same promo. And I mean the same fucking promo. Just the difference is, Alex Wright cuts his promo in German, and Disco's promo is English. I have the pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, of understanding both. So fuck. They're both bad. The crowd is death quiet, besides a couple fans booing. They make fun of Konan's catchphrase, and then the NWO Wolfpack's music hits. It's a big party all of a sudden. Nash and Conan say some party words. Then we have the honor of a special singles match of Conan versus Disco Inferno. It's like I've walked into Impact Wrestling in 2019. This shit sucks my balls. And I like Conan, but fuck, this is awful. Okay. Now, I know I have seemingly forgotten 90% of this pay-per-view from my childhood. But that's because this shit sucks my balls. It goes for like 2 minutes, and it's a total burial. Luger torture racks right on the outside, ref distracted by Nash. No, I'm sorry, the ref gets distracted by the torture rack. Kevin Nash gets in the ring, jackknifes Disco Inferno. Konang clicks in the Tequila Sunrise for the win. So, at least on this podcast, we have multiple Tequila Sunrise victories. So, there's that. So now we have a match changed from what was advertised. It's no longer Perfect and Giant versus Kevin Green and Bill Goldberg. You know, the only 2 fucking matches on the card that had any sort of multi-week build? Fuck it, right? This is WCW. Now it's another match. Now it's a special singles match of Giant versus the football player Kevin Green. The suck show continues. I'm not even kidding. Match isn't much. It doesn't suck. It's Green looking fine for a non-wrestler doing football tackles. Honestly, he looks like Mojo Rawley in the ring, if I'm to make a comparison. Which isn't saying much for Mojo Rawley, that he looks like a wrestler from 1998, or a football player from 98 trying to be a wrestler. But anyways, simply just gets chokeslammed by Giant in the end. He just grabs him and that's over. So, moving on. Waste of time. A big long recap video of the Jericho-Malenko feud ongoing. This was arguably the best part of the show, but it was still overbooked. And here's why. Jericho comes to the ring in a top hat and cane, all cocky. He doesn't have to face Malenko. Brilliant stuff so far. He's about to do a dance and song for the audience until J.J. Dillon interrupts. Still great. J.J. tells Jericho how right he is, impressed how many fans he has, and that Jericho was right all along. Jericho is all smiles. Dillon does reverse psychology on the ego-upped Jericho, saying it's so sad all your fans came here to see you, and you can't wrestle now. Jericho agrees. Well, Dillon asks Jericho, is it alright? I found some local talent you could wrestle with your belt on the line to appease all your fans. Jericho kind of hesitates. JJ says, he's young, he hasn't wrestled in 6 months, don't worry about it. Upon hearing that, Jericho totally agrees and asks for it to be a no DQ, just so he can use his cane to beat the jobber jabroni up. Nice little touch there by Jericho. Music hits upon agreement. Dun, 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 dun. It's Rey Mysterio, his old 98 music that I can't remember off the top of my head. Back from an injury he suffered way back in late January. This is July, by the way. Crowd pops. Jericho's furious. They have a decent match that goes for about 6 minutes. There's a cool spot of Mysterio climbing up on the lifeguard stand and doing a Hurricane Rana off it. He hits his back, bang, on the sand, throws Jericho into the Pyramid Sandcastle nonetheless. They get back in the ring, and here's where WCW takes over. Malenko walks out, and Mysterio just rolls him up and wins the Cruiserweight title. There you go. The big return of Rey Mysterio is one off a babyface reaction, distraction roll-up. Good job. Jericho and Malenko fight. Jericho hightails it. Arn Anderson holds Jericho from running away as Jericho gets to the back. Jericho somehow flees from Malenko. So, not much for a 6-minute match, wasting the Mysterio return, mostly. You might say, oh, but he won the Cruiserweight title. No one cared. I saw that audience. They are dead. Almost done with this shit show. Bret Hart versus Booker T for the TV title. Kind of built up. There was at least some story to this. But you, the viewer, had to put these pieces together. As far as you're concerned, it was simply Booker T wants to face Bret Hart. Bret Hart says, bring all you got. Well, it's for the TV title. Here we go. Match was pretty good, though. Bret works the knee and the back as he does. He does his Bret Hart things. I love it. I'm a Bret Hart fan. Crowd is just super dead after all the bullshit from the night. I rather enjoyed the 8 minutes. 8.5 is how long it went, to be exact. Booker gets a nice comeback. Bret uses the ropes to break the count after he gets the after Booker gets the better of him, and he gracefully flees out of the ring. Like he pulls himself over the bottom rope. Really cool. Booker then goes for a suicide dive, and you see Bret Hart has grabbed a chair and he chucks it at him. Bang, DQ finish in what could have been a match of the night. Why was this booking even necessary? I don't know. Because what ends up happening is Bret Hart beats the shit out of Booker T, chairs his knee to death, gets him in the figure four on the ring post, and eventually Stevie Ray waddles down ringside, shaking his head in disgust, disappointment at his brother, like he didn't look like a bitch like an hour ago. So, let me put it this way. Let's say this match went 20 minutes. They had a fucking TV title classic, and Bret Hart wins the TV title. Stevie Ray could have walked down the same way, shook his head in disappointment, helped him back. Same seeds planted. So, this is trying to make Bret Hart a heel when everyone wants to cheer him. Booker T now looks like an asshole. Fuck. Alright. Goldberg out to defend his title versus Kurt Hennig. The entrance went as long as the match, 3:48. I hope I timed that right, because that was a funny coincidence. Crowd at least woke up out of their chairs and comatose sleep from this match to chant Goldberg, as they do. Goldberg was bleeding from the forehead, caused from his usual psych up he does pre-match, which was hilarious. But yeah, he's, Kurt Hennig tries to work the leg. It works for about 30 seconds. Goldberg then spears him, and it's over. There's your match, Goldberg. But he's not the main event. What is the main event is the big main event tag match. And it goes 25 minutes. This was a match I adored as a child and then hated in a fury because one of my favorite basketball players on my favorite team and one of my favorite wrestlers were teaming up. And I was all about this. I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to see one of my most hated wrestlers and hated basketball players get the shit kicked out of them. This was my, salivating dream match as a 10-year-old child. And what do I get when it's 21 years later? I see it for what it really was. Ooh, this is the third time watching this match now. Now I remember why I turned it off halfway through the second time. It wasn't because I had to go do something. It was because this is fucking awful. As a child, I was in a fury because my favorites got fucking pwned. Is how I would put a old word on that. So, this is 25 minutes of Hogan and Rodman getting heat the whole time in an isolation tag match. Bear in mind, I had just watched the Young Bucks and Rhodes go 31 minutes, and it was a dead crowd. Mostly, kinda. They popped in parts. This crowd fucking was silent. They were bored. But then again, they just went through an hour or two hours of bullshit. So basically, nothing happens, mostly outside of a few wrestling moves Malone does. And I remember that as a kid. I adored it. One of my favorite basketball players just gave Hogan a body slam. Oh, hell yeah. After a weird distraction finish and some diamond cutters, the Disciple enters the ring, stuns DDP, and puts Hogan on him for the win. What the fuck is that? All this build, all this work for a fuck finish that I can't even fathom. The crowd had no reaction. Usually for weeks, they would throw trash into the ring in fury, and now they're silent. This is the sign of the end of WCW. This is what you get in WWE right now. You don't get the boos. You don't get the fury. You only really get that on Twitter, and who gives a shit about social media when it comes to that? When you start seeing fans just have no reaction to what's supposed to be getting heat or big babyface wins, that's the end. Like, I'm not saying they're going to go out of business because they have millions of dollars. They're set, right? But holy shit, it is no wonder why New Japan fans have expanded to the way it is. Why AEW has such a hardcore following. This is what we're seeing today in WWE. It's this shit, right? So Malone cutters the disciple, then the ref, and celebrates the loss with DDP. Very, very boring. That's how I would describe this match. Rodman kind of stood there the whole time. Whatever. Not like they were great workers, Hogan and Rodman. Anyways. Like, you include the entrances, it was like 40 minutes. Like, fuck. Oh. Wonder what Nitro is going to be like after this. The show after Bash at the Beach. My God. Alright. What are the top wrestlers of the podcast over 2 weeks as I take my sip of whiskey? Starting with the women. Number 10, Viper. Number 9, Kaylee Ray. There's your Eve main event. Number 8, Takia Saya. Number 7, Maya Yukihi. I know. I'm shocked too. 6, Mizuki of Tokyo Joshi Pro. 5, Kagetsu. 4, Mayu Iwatani. How could you not, really? 3, Chihiro Hashimoto. 2, Tessa Blanchard. 1, Sari for the new Sendai Girls Champion. I think that's pretty straightforward. I think it's not for debate. Now, what's really hard is mixing in the Dragon Gate Cup, the G1, Fight for the Fallen, and the OTT show into all this. Those were my big events. So the top 15 men, 15 I got Shingo, and I still can't decide truthfully, but 15 Shingo, 14 KZ, 13 Juice Robinson, 12 Kenta, 11 Lance Archer. He might even be low for a lot of people. 10 Zack Sabre Jr. He might even be high for a lot of people. 9 Will Ospreay, 8 Walter, 7 Okada, 6 Benkei. He's the future ace in the making of Dragon Gate. 5 Sonata, 4 Shima, 3 David Starr. Shouldn't come as any surprise. 2 Tomohiro Ishii. Yeah, I've come around on the guy. And 1 Kenny Omega. So, there's your wrestler rankings. I've updated the 3 tiers and top women matches of 2019. That's 40 matches. And as we go across the year, I will organize those 40 matches into a top 40 of the year. Because, I mean, let's be honest. If I was making a top 50, like, so many of them would just be like New Japan. And possibly AEW, and the occasional indie match, right? So this is me to try to incorporate more matches into it and get more eyes on certain products. So I will update my wrestler rankings, put it out on Twitter this weekend sometime, and don't forget to hit me up on Twitter, @BowlingJD, for any shows and matches you want me to see and cover on the cast. Go ahead and check out our anime, retro gaming, modern gaming podcast hosted by myself and friends from all over the world, from all the places I've been, whether it's Canada, Germany, you name it. Hit me up, and I'll see you in 2 weeks for episode 36, as we head into American Rana for Beyond Wrestling, and All Out for AEW. Shit. So there we go, and more G1. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.